right, a very good morning and welcome to TV47 Breakfast. This is the 9th of June, the second Tuesday of June. Karibu sana. Siku hizi umekuwa na extended break. It's good to have you on the show. My name is Fred Ndimuli. Karibu sana.
My name is Annie Odida. It's a very good day today, but not to everyone. Actually, I think it's a very good day even to Rigathi Gachagua. 15 million shillings, and then atachukua
50 million.
50 million, 50 million.
Hizi kata, unaweza kata pesa?
Kwa nini wanasema ati hawataki kuchukua, wanaenda court of appeal?
Well, but you see the different prayers that they had.
Yeah.
One for compensation, which the court said that one you can follow up elsewhere. They can, and they should. But this is a different one.
Yeah.
Because this 50 million, it is said it was to be paid by the Senate. CIT by the state, the Senate.
The lawyers wanasema hawataki the 50 million shillings.
Nipatie mimi
Walete. Watupatie hapa. So a lot is happening, of course, in the country and globally as well.
Yes, of course, that was the biggest discussion. Even today, this morning, people are just discussing because the courts went on and on up until, I think, 9 or 9:30 p.m.
9 hours.
Yes. Watu wamekaa hapo asubuhi, unatoka unaenda lunch, unarudi wanaendelea tu. Anyway, so this morning, I'm sure everyone is about what next for Rigathi Gachagua. What does this mean for 2027 politics, even for the United Alternative Government? What does it mean? Yeah. Is it easier for them now that they have one candidate down? Does it make the decision much easier? Yeah. Is it more difficult for them now that Rigathi Gachagua is unajua ile kwetu a radical element?
Yeah.
Ile aujui imeshikana na nani, iko tu. Yeah. Even for the government of the day, for UDA and William Ruto, the president, what does it mean for them?
Yeah.
Do they prefer Rigathi Gachagua out there as a kingmaker or as a presidential candidate?
Did he even stand a chance though? No.
He declared his interest. He did declare his interest, but did he stand a chance, having in mind that he was impeached? So. Yes, but if at all, based on yesterday, if at all, because there was a lot of hope, if at all he had come in and gone out as a winner yesterday, and he had already declared his intention to run for presidency, what would it have meant for President William Ruto? Would it have been better for Rigathi Gachagua to disturb the unity in the United Alternative Government?
Yep. Yeah. But I was looking at something. I saw Charles Kanjama commented on something, say that, you know, court can still rule on the matter. I'll find that article and read it. Yes. That court can reverse the ruling. Court can the
Court of Appeal.
Court of Appeal, right? That Court of Appeal can actually, what is it called? It's not uphold. Can uphold the impeachment or just reverse it in general.
The other thing is, okay, fine. If the court says that his rights were violated, and therefore he deserves compensation of 50 million shillings. Yeah. So what are you saying? So his rights were violated, but he's not correct? Yeah,
they don't want to create a constitutional
so that
crisis.
Is the main problem. That the court did not want to create a constitutional crisis by having two deputy presidents at the same time.
Imagine 2 deputy presidents.
Yeah. So anyway, very interesting.
Very
This will form, I think, our biggest, the only conversation today, this morning on State of the Nation. We'll be having Senator Joe Nyoto, we'll be having Wakili Harrison Kinyanjui, who was in court yesterday, and also Senator Danson Mungatana of Tana River. You don't want to miss that conversation.
All right.
The other conversation, of course, we're still anticipating the budget statements that will be read on Wednesday this week by Treasury CS John Badi. Hiyo kama hujasoma by now, finance bill, nini, hii inaenda kukupita. Utasikia tu, you know, on Thursday it's just a statement that's being read. Yeah. A combination of everything that is budget, the summary of finance bill, summary of the budget estimates. Hiyo tu ni formality. That's going to happen. Yeah. All
right, today it's World Anti-Phospholipid Day. Anti-phospholipid. It was anti-phospholipid. I'll tell you what it is, but say it.
Kwa shule yetu wasema anti.
Anti. Okay, and depending on where, how far your village is from England.
Polling station.
World Anti-Phospholipid. Umesema anti.
That's how I was taught that part of English.
Anti-phospholipid.
Phospholipid.
Phospholipid, right? So.
Phospholipid.
antiphospholipid. So it's known as APS in simple terms. It's an antibody syndrome, and it's an autoimmune disorder where the immune system mistakenly attacks normal proteins in the blood. Yeah.
Antiphospholipid.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So today it's the World APS Day. Mnaambiwa how to observe this day. Check in on someone who is affected, offer practical help, practice active listening, encourage rest and self-care, and you can also support mental well-being of those that are affected. Yeah. So of course,
a lot to look forward to, by the way. It's only 2 days to the beginning of the World Cup 2026.
Yes.
Yeah, so which team are you supporting? Hata hujashughulika, kumbuka kuna team ya East Africa Community inaitwa Democratic Republic of the Congo. Wako na Ebola lakini wanafika World Cup. Nyinyi ni bilhazi tu inawasumbua hapa na hata mwezi pita hapa kwa boda. Msinikujie lakini ni ukweli tu nimesema.
Ni ukweli, hujadanganya. Itakuwa saa ngapi? 7 a.m. East African time?
Itakuwa inakuja, I don't know, because of the timings, you know, US, Mexico and Canada, it complicates. It's not the same way we watch the EPL or UEFA Champions League. Now itakuwa inakuja very late in the night. Sometimes tukikuja when we're just about to start the show is when the games are ending. Alafu wanaanza analysis around the same time. So if you want to watch the World Cup, probably hakuna kulala.
Yeah.
Leo silali.
All right, do interact with us on our socials. TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube. On X at TV47 Digital. You can tag us. My handle is at Annie_Dida.
My handle is at Fred Indemuli. Remember to use the hashtag TV47 Breakfast, TV47. Story yetu.
I'll see you. Let's take a look at the state of the weather. All right, we start off in Kwale. Light rains expected today. This morning is 23 degrees. Highs of 28 degrees expected in Kwale County. Nyeri, it's a mostly cloudy day today. It's 14 degrees this morning. Highs of 23 degrees. Isiolo, it's a mostly cloudy day today. Highs of 31 degrees. And this morning, it's 19 degrees in Isiolo County. That's as far as Kwale, Nyeri, and Isiolo counties are concerned today. We take a look at other areas. Nairobi, it's a cloudy day. This morning is 15 degrees. Highs of 21 degrees expected in Nairobi today. Kitui, it's a cloudy day as well. It's 17 degrees this morning. Highs of 27 degrees. And finally, Migori, it's a mostly cloudy day today. This morning is 17 degrees. Highs of 29 degrees expected in Migori County. And that's the state of the weather. All right, let's take a look at the quote of the day.
You can help what you feel, but you can help how you behave.
All right, on the papers this morning talk about nothing else but that case that ended very late into the night with that pronouncement by the High Court. We start off with the Standard, condemned, and they have a very interesting image of the former deputy president pale. Hadi unaona, yani wamezoom mpaka unaona hair follicle on his facial skin. Mpaka kumbe kuna ndevu siko najua. Impeachment upheld, kuna ile stamp condemned unfairly by the executive, legislature and judiciary. Now this one, they make their own analysis that this was unfair. Yeah, Standard on Ajita, the bold newspaper, and they say this is an absurdity. Although the High Court found flaws in parts of the impeachment process of former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and awarded him 50 million shillings in damages, which they said, it upheld that the Senate's vote to remove him from office stands, dealing a major blow to his bid for political redemption and causing confusion in the rule of law. With the ruling effectively locking him out of public office unless overturned on appeal, the former deputy president now faces the toughest battle of his political career. Gachagua must now chart a new course as questions mount over his influence in Mount Kenya, his leverage within the opposition, and his path to the 2027 political contest. So both legal and political implications. One, legal. how can a court say your rights were violated and even award you money, compensation, then say, haiwezi pita hapo sasa, tumekupatia do. It means the first prayer that he was unfairly impeached stands. I don't know. We'll have a lawyer in studio and he'll be telling us exactly what this is. That a possible grounds for the appeal before the Court of Appeal? That yes, this court admitted that my rights were infringed and even gave me compensation. Then how come they did not go with my prayers? You know, so they quote one of the very vocal lawyers, especially on social media, Ahmed Nasser Abdullahi, ule wanamuitanga Grand Mula. Anasema, under Article 25C of the Constitution, the right to fair trial is a non-derogable right. So how can the court make quasi-constitutional excuses on amorphous grounds in its refusal to set aside the impeachment of Honorable Rigathi Gachagua? The Gachagua judgment, in my humble opinion, is on a shaky, shallow, soggy, and something I don't know, soil. So that's a question. And you know, this lawyer is very critical of anything Rigathi Gachagua.
Oh, Grand Mula.
Grand Mula. He is not a supporter of Rigathi Gachagua at all. But now, when it comes to law, that's a good thing about him. When it comes to matters legal and law and constitution, he does not, there's no bias. This is a law. Even him is wondering, how can the court admit that there was infringement of his rights and even award him compensation, and then fail to set aside the impeachment? I don't know.
So the only thing that stands there is that they are arguing that they do not want to create a constitutional crisis. That is the only argument that would stand.
Yes.
That would justify Rigathi Gachagua being awarded 50 million shillings. Yes,
so because they didn't want to create a situation where there are two deputy presidents. What if Gachagua says that he does not want to be deputy president?
Which he said he had declared before that he
probably he did not tell the court. You see, unless you go tell the court, I'm not interested in this. So the only problem is creating a constitutional crisis, which even the courts are allowed to do that. That any pronouncement you make should not create a crisis. As a court, you cannot come to create a crisis, and that's what they did. But they may have given Rigathi Gachagua a lifeline by saying that indeed his rights were violated. So it's still a very interesting story here, and Ahmed Nasser Abdullahi, who's a senior counsel, agrees with that. And that's why the Standard calls it an absurdity, fairly condemned unfairly by the executive, legislature, and the judiciary. Well, interesting. So this story has gotten quite some coverage. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, you remember when I was starting, I was saying something that Charles Kanjama had said regarding this case. And he's quoted somewhere, the People Daily this morning. He says the Court of Appeal can alter any aspect of the High Court's decision, that the appellate court may uphold or overturn the impeachment, revise the compensation, or reconsider whether fair hearing rights were violated. Yep. So kama wanaenda Court of Appeal, then court might overturn the impeachment.
It's not done until it's done.
Yep.
Right. I'm trying to see where else. Yes, pages 4 and 5. Court upholds Gachagua's ouster, awards him 50 million shillings. And with the other page, court shuts door on Gachagua's revival bid. But you see, for Rigathi Gachagua, his problem is not even being deputy president. His problem is what the impeachment does to his political future. Yeah. Will he ever be able to run for political office or even be appointed to any political office? Even if the United Alternative Government comes into power, it means he cannot even be considered for any position in cabinet or elsewhere, if at all the impeachment tag still.
Unless now the alternative government now overturns that constitutional something.
It's only the court who can do that. The government cannot do it.
Waki referendum or something. Whatever they do, like in Senegal. Yeah.
All right. So yes, there's that. Then the other big story. The former CJ, David Maraga, being arrested. And this is the second time we're seeing a former Chief Justice being somewhat mistreated. William Mutunga, we could say, was mistreated in Tanzania, not in Kenya. But on Kenyan soil, I think this is the very first time we're seeing a former Chief Justice being mishandled or being handled in an alternative way.
What was he doing?
He was demonstrating. He was demonstrating against alleged construction of some parking space in the national park. Of which is guaranteed by the Constitution. You have a right to picket.
Yes.
Was he throwing stones? Was he carrying arms?
Yeah, that is a CJ.
This is a Chief Justice.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Chief Justice Maraga rioting and breaking shops?
It would be interesting to see.
So most likely he'll be taken to court. I don't know. He
Yeah.
was arrested yesterday. Now imagine which judge or which magistrate will now look at a former CJ and say, now you,
Yeah.
guilty or not guilty.
It's
It
not
will be
above-
interesting.
It's not above the law, though.
It's not above the law.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's a senior person in the legal fraternity. That's on page 6. Yeah. Page 7, there are more protests against the Ebola facility in Nanyuki yesterday. So protests ni kama zimeanza kurudi pole pole.
Even if you protest, that one we are not consulting.
You know, the Daily Nation yesterday had an aerial view. Construction ishaanza,
Yes.
it's almost done. Now alisema we shall not consult.
Kabisa.
That story about the KEWS, because many people didn't know about it, it's on the same page as the Maraga story.
Yeah.
Kenya Wildlife Service has defended the controversial Nairobi National Park development, insisting that the planned relocation and expansion of the Nairobi Animal Orphanage is a necessary conservation and intervention, and not a land grab. This is why CJ Maraga was protesting, and that's why he was arrested. Education crisis worsens. That's another story. Yesterday, the NSAC, that's the National Security NSAC.
Yes.
They met yesterday. Many people would have expected that they would say, okay, fine, schools close. All schools go home.
Yes.
They did not. So, hiyo bado iko. All right, so those are the main stories on the front page, at least the first 4, 5, 6 pages. Then, when you go to the back page of this paper, that's a standard, it's definitely the World Cup. Lionel Messi, 38 years old, and he'll be playing in the World Cup. The evolution of Messi from dazzling winger to veteran who barely runs. The 36-year-old is preparing for his 6th World Cup. He's one of the luckiest players. 6 World Cups are many. So it's a special feature on Lionel Messi, who plays for Argentina. And in the inside pages of the sports area, a World Cup for them, not us. Fans' anger as US travel bans and visa restrictions to World Cup tournament. Imagine, there's one referee who hails from Somalia. He was to be, I think, one of the few African referees there. He's been denied a visa to the US. He's
Why?
been denied entry.
Why?
US visa restrictions. So who goes, who doesn't? That means even fans may not be able to travel to go watch the World Cup in the US. That's why they're saying, fans are angry and saying that's their World Cup.
Wale wa DRC wanaenda.
Why do we even take the World Cup to the US? It is one of the most visa restrictive countries.
Yeah.
How will we enjoy the World Cup if we cannot even travel there? Hata kama hatuna pesa, hujui kama tungekuwa tuende. Anyway, that's the standard today.
All right. Taifa Leo kinachosubiri Gachagua. Baada ya mahakama kutoa uamuzi jana kuhusu uhalali wa kutumiliwa kwa aliyekuwa naibu wa rais mamlakani, sasa kiongozi huyo wa chama cha DCP anakumbwa na uamuzi mgumu wa kufanya kuhusiana na siasa za uchaguzi mkuu wa mwaka ujao. Wanasema kwamba uamuzi wa mahakama jana kuhusu kutimuliwa kwake serikalini wampa fursa ya kuamua mwelekeo wa kisiasa. And as you've said, maybe the bigger problem sasa kwake is how his political future would look like with this case, how it's going. Lakini unaona hiyo kesi ya that judgment that courts Senate should award him 50 million Kenyan shillings. I saw Karinyamu posted something and said that, you know, Senate is going to appeal that Senate do not have the unallocated budget for 50 million shillings for Rigathi Gachagua. So
it's interesting. The good thing is that any pronouncement by the High Court can be challenged, can be appealed in a higher court. This can go even to the Supreme Court. So anyone who feels aggrieved by the pronouncements of the High Court yesterday, you all can appeal. The Senate can appeal. Even Kithure Kindiki can still go and appeal. I don't know what, but because he was the winner here and he was one of those adjoined in the case, even Rigathi Gachagua can appeal. So it's not over.
Alright, vidokezo zaidi, simanzi watu 8 wakiangamia ajalini salama. Walioaga dunia katika ajali hiyo ya gari la abiria na lori walikuwa wanachama wa kundi moja la marafiki. I'm assuming Salama is a place.
Salama is a place along Mombasa Road. Once you go past Chumvi, before you get to Emali, a town called Salama. And I think after Salama there's Sultan Hamud. There are those small towns along the road. Yeah, so Salama is one of them.
Right. Ujenzi wa ikulu msituni, Imenti wapingwa vikali, kilio Maraga akikamatwa. Tumezungumzia habari hiyo. Kule juu katika ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti hili ya Taifa Leo wanazungumzia mauaji, mke Mkenya ana kesi ya kujibu. Riziki Ari Cherono anahusishwa na mauaji ya mumewe Mholanzi Herman Rowenhorst, ni mzungu. Mabingwa watetezi Argentina wanatisha. Masuala ya spoti pia imezungumziwa katika ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti hili Taifa Leo.
Right, tukitoka kwenye gazeti la Taifa Leo tuangazie Daily Nation. Bado ni masuala ya Gachagua, Gachagua's next steps. Yes, what next for Rigathi Gachagua? Ex-DP's impeachment upheld, setting stage for fight back. One, the verdict, the court judgment says the violation of Gachagua's rights under Articles 47 and 50 of the Constitution does not vitiate the impeachment process undertaken under Article 145. So the impeachment stands, but it says his rights were violated. Yeah. Public participation. Court ruled National Assembly held a constitutionally sufficient exercise by providing reasonable notice and multiple channels for engagement for citizens to be heard. Political bias. Court dismissed claims that House speakers and MPs were biased, noting without evidence the allegations were merely suspicions and amounted to political dissatisfaction. We were here and we watched that process. Anyway, the good thing is that the court says, you know, the court can only act on whatever is presented before it. You may have a lot of evidence huko kwa TV na kwingineko, lakini kama uja present you before the court, there's nothing they can do for you. So they say there was no evidence that you presented here to show that the House was biased. Maybe you should have. The IEBC Secretariat did not travel beyond its mandate. It only acted on a repository of information. Judges on the clearance of Kithure Kindiki's nomination as DP. All right. So that is the main story. It features on pages 4 and 5. It does not, on the front page, it doesn't talk about what next for Gachagua. It only talks about what the court ruled. Let's take a look at the spread so that we see what else it said. Politically, High Court upholds Gachagua removal from office, setting stage for fight back. But now, Mr. Gachagua is likely to transform the court's verdict into political capital, but by reinforcing his long-standing narrative of political victimization. And you know, he may just use the court's pronouncements. Si hata nye mulisikia koti ilisema my rights were violated. Ni koti ilisema, hata si mimi, walisema hivyo, lakini bado wakafanya ile kitu. Yeah. Pale chini on the front page of the Daily Nation, Maraga arrested as police quell forest grab protest. But sasa Maraga surely. Maraga. Ingekuwa mtu kama Matiang'i ama Gachagua tunaelewa. Hata Kalonzo utasema, sasa Kalonzo mnamfanyia nini?
Mbona unasema why not
There's some politicians whose even character. I'm even shocked that Maraga was there protesting. I think he's just trying to be with the people. Yeah. Former Chief Justice arrested by plainclothes police officers yesterday on Lang'ata Road in Nairobi during protests against the planned excision of 89 acres from Nairobi National Park. KWS has defended the project, insisting it is a conservation investment and not a parking facility for the Bomas of Kenya Conference Center, as alleged by critics. So according to the KWS, they want to move the orphanage. Unajua ile tumezoea? Pale directly opposite the Lang'ata Cemetery. They want to move that further, in north ama south, further north, ama further west, oko karibu na Bomas of Kenya. So many people are saying, oh, you are trying to create a parking bay pale kwa ile junction ya kwenda Rongai for Bomas of Kenya. I don't know. Why state officials risk contempt proceedings over Ebola facility? Walisema ngo, sisi hatutai kujua and we shall not consult. Na hata koti kama imesema stop the construction, well, the construction inaendelea. So mutadu. So right. Other stories up. Mr. Speaker Sir speaks out. Gen Z Ezekiel Kiama, who stormed Parliament, reappears. That's the one who went into the House and sat on the Speaker's chair. Then he disappeared after that. Watu walikuwa wamesema huyu jamaa alienda wapi? He's finally back and he's very vocal. Watu walikuwa wanasema, wengine wanamdoubt, wanasema that guy, why is he so vocal now? yet he was so scared of the government. How come he's no longer scared now?
Yeah.
So is he coming here to distract us or what? That's the kind of conversations online. In Kenya, we can never win. You can never win. All right, those are the main stories here. Outrage of a plan to excise Imenti forest for state lodge. Now another state lodge is being built in Meru. You saw even in Wajir, there's a state lodge.
Yes.
Yeah. Now in Meru, they're trying to excise some land so that they can build state house.
Kwa
State
kina
lodge.
Chalo.
Kwa kina Chalo. Hawatakuwa na forests. But anyway, that also adds to the kind of budget we expect going forward, because hiyo pesa lazima ninyi mnalipia. Question is, do we need another state lodge? Yeah. All right. So those are the main stories hapa. Back page. Premier League bound Migori, how it all started, and police want nothing less than Mozart bet cap win. Those are the sports stories on the back page of the Daily Nation. Hakuna World Cup hapo.
All right. People Daily, governors who don't see eye to eye. Na kuna wawili hapa, James Orengo wa Siaya and our Homa Bay Gladys Wanga here. How rifts over power succession and regional dominance threaten unity has stifled economic blocks and impeded smooth functioning of County Bosses Council. They call it Council of Governors, not council, council.
Cancel.
Council them, Council of Governors, council. They also make mention of wale huko kwenu, Natembea and Barasa. You're right. Governors who don't see eye to eye. That story is on page 4. Still, the People Daily, bleaker days ahead for workers and businesses as Kenya continues to import more, and that's the People Daily.
All right. Let's take a look at the Star. Of course, as always, it is fresh, independent, and different. And today being a Tuesday, it is even more fresh. Because it talks about the railway. Cheap rail returns one route at a time. Nyahururu line, dormant since 1980, resumed services last week. Coincidentally, it passes through Olkalau, where they're having by-elections next month. That's the main story on the front page. Other stories inside ODM's plan to fire up its bases ahead of 2027 polls. Those are the two main stories there on the front page of the Star. Today being a Tuesday, it is not for sale, and it comes with a complimentary MyGov pullout for government jobs and tenders. Grab yourself a copy of this free The Star this Tuesday. Fresh, independent, different.
All right, finally, court clears 10 billion shillings Kenya award to non-existent firm. That is a Business Daily this morning. And this story has been captured on page 2 extensively. It talks about Spanish company which holds 17 Ketraco bank accounts and contractor declared bankrupt and dissolved. That's the Business Daily.
All right. Let's go to regional papers now, and we start off in Uganda, where they're talking about the main. We start off with the Daily Monitor. Price of coats of many colors. I like the play of words there. The coat of many colors is there's a biblical reference to it. So 76 ministers, they have over 80, who were sworn in yesterday. They put 4 of them there. The fate of 4 minister nominees who reportedly hold citizenship of other countries besides Uganda hangs in the balance, with President Museveni calling for a joint report from the head of public service and the Solicitor General on the issue. So wengi hapa kuna wengine ni wa Rwanda, wengine sijui kama kuna Mkenya hapa. But that's the dilemma they're having there. Today we don't have a copy of the New Vision, so we move on to Tanzania very fast. On the Citizen, capital Zanzibar to set up BOS Investment Bank. So Zanzibar, I've never had ile security. Security is what? Exchange. Now they're going to set up one. Samia's Russia visit still continues being covered. It gave $1.2 billion uranium project fresh impetus. That's the Citizen. Tukiangalia gazeti la Mwananchi kule Bongo, bajeti tunayoitaka ndio habari kuu pale. Kumbuka kwamba bajeti zote 3 ama 4 za nchi za Afrika Mashariki zote zitasomwa tarehe 11 mwezi huu. Hiyo ni Alhamisi wiki hii. Tayari kule Tanzania wanazungumzia kile wanachotegemea: nafuu ya maisha, fursa za ajira, kilimo bora, sera za biashara. Ndio wanayoangazia pale. Kenyans, we are still yet to start talking about budget. Yesterday we were talking about Gachagua, and today I'm sure we'll be talking about Gachagua. Probably from tomorrow now we start focusing on the budget.
Yeah.
So that is, and those are the local and regional dailies. Very fast we come back to the caricature. Wachoraji wanasema nini leo?
All right, tuanze na the one on the Star.
Yes.
Yeah, talks about the budget. Housing levy tunaona hapo. I wonder who this is mwenye amebeba housing levy, because we're reporting that the housing levy has received the highest allocation this year. Ruto's pet projects. Housing levy has about 50 billion shillings.
Did you hear about the plan to securitize the housing levy?
Right.
Yeah.
So that is what is happening here on the Star.
All right, let's take a look at the one on the Daily Nation. Yes, that crisis that the court really tried hard to avoid, having two deputy presidents, is what features here. So the High Court says hapo kungekuwa na shida. Kuna huyu jamani kama amekalia kiti ya deputy president nusu. The other one is sitting on no seat. And you would have had two deputy presidents, and that's a crisis. The High Court wamefungua mlango wakasema Kindiki it is. Because we don't want a crisis. Yeah?
Mbona hiyo moto iko kichwa ya Kindiki?
Ni mchoraji amesema hiyo.
What is that? That is ozone. All right. The Standard now, still the same story. What's going on up there? He wants to overturn his impeachment, and Rigathi Gachagua is facing upside down. He wants to overturn his impeachment.
Imekata hiyo maneno, imekuwa ngumu. So, right. So those are the local regional dailies. Let's take a look at the traffic situation here in Nairobi before we take a break. Traffic. All right. Kama kawaida siku hizi tunaanza na Eastern Bypass. Tuligundua kuna shida pale. Na kama kawaida pale Komarok, Modern Health, Utawala pale Mihango. That's where the traffic starts as you head towards the direction of JKIA. And it gets even more concerning as you get closer to that KQ headquarters roundabout. But after that, it eases a bit, then starts again building up as you get to Cabanas. The other major problematic area is on Thika Road and kama kawaida pale all the way from KQ to past Githurai is a long stretch of red. You'd imagine that ni kama watu waendi kazi, lakini imeshikana pale areas around Kahau, Sukari, Kahau and Ndani, Githurai itself. Easing up a bit after that, but then again I can see the service lane just before you get to Kasarani is quite busy. After Kasarani, it's green all the way past Garden City Mall, past Allsops, only building up slightly after the KCA University. That Utalii Drift, Survey Deep as you get, you go up Mathare Mental Hospital into the Pangani interchange. A bit of traffic also on Kiambu Road at that section after DCI, but that's just normal, nothing out of the ordinary. Jogoo Road, yes, traffic kama kawaida Makadara na pale Likoni Road Junction. A bit of traffic also on Shauri Moyo, that stretch of Shauri Moyo as you get closer to the City Stadium roundabout. After that, it's a bit smoother getting into town, and even Haile Selassie Avenue this morning, both sides from the railway roundabout to the Landis Road roundabout, it's not looking bad at all. From the airport to the city, using Mombasa Road, it's looking good, both levels, the expressway and the original Mombasa Road, not looking bad into the CBD, and Waiyaki as well, all the way from Gitaru past ABC Place, looking good. Ngong Road getting busy in areas like the junction. Yes, I can see stretching back as you get from Ngong Road to that junction mall, a long stretch of red. After that, it eases, but once you get to Prestige Plaza, you'll spend a few minutes there, and at the City Mortuary roundabout. Other than that, tuko sawa. Not bad at all. That's the traffic this morning in Nairobi. All right. Great. Now our reporter on the streets, Brenda Modhoni, is already there, up and early to update us on what's going on this morning. Brenda, good morning. How is the traffic where you are, and what do we anticipate going forward this morning?
A very good morning to you, Fred Ndimuli. I do hope that you and everyone in studio melala na mkaamka fiti. Personally, mimi na camera person wangu tumelala na tukaamka kama tulivyopanga. We are coming to you live from Kiambu Road here at the intersection that feeds the CBD from Kiambu Road and Thika Road. And as you can see, Fred Ndimuli, traffic is just starting to pile up here. Christine is going to pan the cameras so that she can show you how the stage is looking. Normally at this hour, Fred Ndimuli, hapa Kiambu Road, human traffic huwa bumper to bumper. But as you can see, matatus are here in waiting. Hakuna makastoma, mingi ziko empty. I don't know, leo watu wa Kiambu Road ama people wenye wana travel towards Kiambu town, either wamelala sana ama ni zile takitaki za mwezi ukianza. But if you're coming from the leafy suburbs of the Ndegwa and Ridgeways, as you can see here, traffic has just started to pile up. Na hii traffic by the way inakuwaga crazy because we had stood here a few minutes ago na barabara zilikuwa practically empty, and then in just 3 minutes ndo hizo magari zimesimama. They are going at a speed of almost 30 kilometers per hour. And here where we are standing in Ndimuli, we can be able to give you visuals of how Thika Road is looking. Na ukiangalia traffic pale Muthaiga Square is bumper to bumper. Wakenya wamechangamka, wote wanaenda into the CBD. And that is how traffic is looking today morning. Fred Ndimuli, back to you in studio.
Thank you very much, Brenda Muthoni. And you're looking lovely this morning, I must say that. And asante sana, we'll be going back to Brenda for more updates, especially on the discussion we're having this morning on State of the Nation. Just a reminder, our panelists today, Senator Joe Nyoto of Murang'a, Senator Danson Mugatana of Tana River, and Wakili Harrison Kenyanjui. Those are the gentlemen who'll be helping us understand what next for Rigathi Gachagua after that pronouncement by the courts yesterday. All right. Do interact with us on all our social media pages as we continue this show. Remember, we have a lot in store for you up until 10 o'clock this morning. TV47 Breakfast on, that's a hashtag to use. Yeah, TV47 Breakfast. On Facebook, it's TV47 Kenya, on Instagram and on YouTube, and on X, TV47 Digital. My handle is at Fred Ndimuli.
My handle is at Annie_Dida. Hashtag, story ni yetu, story ni yako, story ni yangu. Na story ni yetu. President William Ruto nimeona amefika Oslo, Norway. Alright.
Alimaliza Belgium. Akaenda Norway.
Nice.
Alafu ataenda Finland. Yes.
See you after the break.
All right.
Good morning.
You have my rent?
Leo jioni kama tutakuwa tumelipa rent, nauza hizi yako.
Hamna pesa. I need 3 G's to make my nails today.
Sasa hivi natuhusu aje?
Can I order now? Do you ship? Can I get blinking ones?
Mimi nilikuwa na trade. Nimewekelea kitele yangu. Kitele yangu na trade. Nikikunyuma.
Oh my God. You left me.
Nitumie ni line. Uko nje kuna wifi.
Why? Hi-Fi?
Wait, so what do we call this dish again?
I have no idea.
The cucumbers are there specifically for my beauty routine.
Tamulini kero umeka kwa beauty product.
Na ameenda.
Tunafaa tukuwe na logo yetu. Like, si ni brand already.
We won't entertain divas.
No. I'm not dealing with a man child.
Amazing. Nishapenda hii energy.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
My father used to tell me that our hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m.
This is a very serious place.
I see that.
Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair. It was hers.
You're new here?
Yes.
You learned the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system, ni venye tu ni system haisikizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
I remove it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning?
To escape from a resort.
This is not a resort, my friend. This is a storage.
Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47.
Nairobi, where the hustle never sleeps and neither do the scammers.
Link Up, we are talking about something that's affecting all of us. We are talking trust.
We're diving into the campus life.
Stay fresh, stay safe.
Stay linked up.
My father used to tell me that a hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. Booyah! We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
This is a very serious place.
I see that.
Surely. Hey, Nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair. It was hers.
You're new here?
Yes.
You learned the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system, ni venye tu ni system haisikizi.
And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
I remove it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning?
To escape from a resort.
These are now the final orders. Arising from all that we have said, these are the orders that we make. 1, the prayer seeking to quash the resolution of the Senate to impeach His Excellency Gachagua is hereby declined. 2, a declaratory order is hereby issued that His Excellency Gachagua's fair trial rights were infringed when the Senate declined to allow an adjournment in the impeachment proceedings despite his absence. 3, a declaratory order hereby issued affirming the constitutional necessity for Parliament to enact a dedicated statutory framework governing the impeachment of the Deputy President under Article 150 of the Constitution. 4, the court makes no findings on pension and emoluments. The first petitioner is at liberty to pursue the matter before an appropriate forum. 5, the court awards constitutional damages of Kenya shillings 50 million to His Excellency Gachagua payable by the Senate to vindicate the Constitution, restore the dignity of the affected party, and deter future violations. 6, parties shall bear their own costs given the public nature of these proceedings. And lastly, for the avoidance of doubt, any prayer not expressly allowed herein is accordingly disallowed.
Yes, those were the pronouncements of the High Court yesterday with regard to the prayers that Rigathi Gachagua, the former deputy president, had presented before the court. And yes, this is what we're looking at this morning. The pronouncements and the court process went up till very late into the night yesterday, and many people may not have had the opportunity to listen to everything that was said. But definitely, very many talking points from that, both legal and political. And we'll be having two senators in studio and one lawyer. Okay, one of the senators is also a lawyer, and the Senate has been directed to pay the former deputy president 50 million shillings. That is one of the biggest talking points if you look at the dailies even today, because they say, why would you award compensation for violation of Rigathi Gachagua's rights, then again fail to take his prayers into consideration? We'll be looking at that with my panelists. Allow me to welcome the only panelist who's arrived so far. Wengine nafikiri they slept a bit late. Yes, Senator Danson Mungatana, Senator Tana Riva, and also a member of the legal fraternity. He's an advocate of the High Court. Karibu sana, Senator.
Asante, thank you.
The court, in upholding the impeachment, said that both the Senate and the National Assembly largely followed constitutional procedures.
Yeah.
The main question now is when the same court goes ahead and says that the Senate violated the rights of the former deputy president by failing to adjourn the sitting when it was said that he was ill, and for that reason he was awarded 50 million shillings to be paid by the Senate. So from a legal standpoint, that could be a valid reason why Rigathi Gachagua would proceed to the Court of Appeal and say, oh, if at all my rights were violated to any extent, then it means I still have a recourse in the courts.
He won't be successful.
But even as a lawyer,
I'm telling you, he won't be successful. And I'm talking as a lawyer, I'm not talking as a politician. You know, people who are not non-practitioners of the law may find it absurd that you awarded costs or you awarded damages in lieu of whatever. Maybe you let me just put it in a different context. I am an employee at Kenya Breweries Limited, and then I'm fired, and the processes of firing are not followed properly. I wasn't given an opportunity to be heard or whatever, or the HR manual says I should go have a lawyer. I wasn't allowed a lawyer. So my procedural rights were violated. And so I go to the labor court. The labor court says your procedural rights were violated. But so take 500,000 to settle that. But the employer has no obligation to take you back and reinstate you in that position. Any practitioner of the law would not find that an anomaly, but the people who are outside us, outside the legal fraternity, may find that difficult to understand. Mm-hmm. But it is the way it is. These are principles established in law that employers, even if you go to the labor court, the employers have no obligation to take you back. But they can pay you compensation. And compensation is supposed to return you to a position almost similar, or it's like an apology, or it's like a punishment to the person to acknowledge that something wasn't right according to the labor court. But it is not, you can't force an employer, for example, to take you back and make you the CEO if fundamentally you have...
Using that analogy.
Yes.
The fact that the court process has gotten to a point where they find culpability on the part of the employer.
Yes.
It means, therefore, that was a wrongful dismissal. Yes. That whatever grounds they used to dismiss you.
Yeah, let me hear you.
That was a wrongful dismissal. If now we bring it to to the case of Rigathi Gachagua, a wrongful dismissal would reinstate him not really back to his position, but at least would have questions on the impeachment. Isn't that what you're saying?
No. A wrongful dismissal would be a finding, but a breach on the process is not a wrongful dismissal and breach on the procedure to dismiss. They are not one and the same time. So anyway, you see, this is, what can I say, legalese. And Kenyans will have to take time to understand. That's why many of them were listening to the judges go this side, then he goes this side. When he's going this side, you think, oh, we are winning. Then he goes the other side, you think, oh, we are winning. Then he makes a finding. And that finding maybe is not what you're supporting or maybe what you wanted. So I think by and large, Kenyans will have to take time to absorb. Maybe as you listen to some of us, and especially I would want people who are lawyers to maybe speak more to this so that they can understand, you know, Kenyans can keep hearing, maybe they will, you know, finally absorb what is really the interpretation in terms of the law, and then get to know. But you see, every finding of a lower court can be appealed from.
Yes.
So if, for example, I've been awarded costs or I've not been awarded costs, I can go to the Court of Appeal and say, I need to be awarded costs. If I was awarded, say, damages of 1 million, I can go to the Court of Appeal and say, no, I ought to be given 2 million.
Yes.
And if for example, you are given any favorable or unfavorable finding, you can always go to the next stage and say, okay, I need a hearing. But Kenyans need to understand that there are steps. It's not yet final. Yes. I think this matter might end up going all the way to the Court of Appeal.
And do you feel that the Senate may feel that the questions left by this award of the 50 million shillings compensation would leave questions on its handling of the matter, and therefore would need, by necessity, to actually appeal the same?
Yeah, I'm sure they will appeal because I think if I read it well, if I understood what I didn't get to read, but I got to hear, honestly, Fred, the question was, did the Senate give time for Rigathi to come back and answer the questions, the issues that were there? And that was where the finding was that, no, you are leading yourselves, you are limiting yourself to the 10-day timeline, when in fact you could have, when it's not committee and it's plenary, you could have taken longer. Right. But you see, Senate works with advice. The legal team there was saying these proceedings are time bound, and you cannot have an impeachment that lasts forever. And it's the same thing we use for governors. The timelines are very tight. And whether it goes to plenary, whether it goes through committee, the timelines are normally the 10 days. So we always have a timeline that is very tight. What the court has said is that if you go through committee, it's okay, 10 days. But if you go through the plenary, you can have a longer time period. And therefore they said, the court has said, we rushed it because we had the opportunity. We shouldn't extend it. Yeah, we shouldn't have. But you see, that is a point of contention.
Yes.
And the practice has been 10 days throughout, whether it's plenary or it's committee. Okay. So I think that matter alone is going to plenary, because that's where, again, the court said, because you violated, then Senate, usually they singled out Senate, says, Senate, you must pay 50 million. But I see it litigated on appeal, and maybe probably Supreme Court. All right. So that's my thinking.
We do have another lawyer on the set, Wakili Harrison Kinyanjui. It's good to have you.
Good morning.
Good morning. And of course, we know you were part of the process. You were seen on TV also trying to be part of the process yesterday. But what the papers are talking about is what even some of the papers are referring to as an absurdity, is what you found us discussing. The fact that the court, in its findings, said that the Senate may have violated the rights of the former deputy president by failing to extend the time to allow him to come from hospital and give evidence on the matter. And for that, they said they directed that the Senate needs to compensate Rigathi Gachagua 50 million shillings. And many are questioning, okay, fine, isn't that an admission that there was wrongdoing? Is that proper grounds for an appeal by Rigathi Gachagua? Do you feel the Senate will also appeal the same, at least just to clear its name from what the courts pronounced?
Well, I don't know. Thank you very much. I have absolutely no clue if the Senate will appeal. It may not want to appeal. It may appeal. I have no idea. But what happened is a shame. The impeachment, right from the National Assembly, all the way to the Senate, engaging in shenanigans just to appease someone who has a demigod complex, who wants to appoint for us the deputy president that he feels should be his own deputy president, unelected, unvetted, entirely imposed upon us. That impeachment, the Senate, to their shame, the senators, did not question. Did you have the threshold? The court, on the other hand, barred my client after seeing the stark, naked truth that really there was no impeachment. What they have done is to sideline that case. They don't want to see it. They don't want it to see the light. They don't even want it to see the light of day. What a shame to a judiciary where you're supposed to run as a repository of justice. Now, the honorable members of the National Assembly, this is a, may I take your constitution? This is a constitution. If you are to read Article 145 of the Constitution, Article 145 of the Constitution, just Mheshimiwa, since you are here, make it easy so that I can go.
I've not even introduced Senator Joe Nyoto, who's also part of the panel.
I'm sorry.
Good morning, karibu sana, Senator Nyoto. Yes.
Now, you see, the National Assembly is supposed to be constituted of all the members. Now, Article 145(1) says what?
A member of the National Assembly is supported by at least a third of all the members.
Now read that again. What is ALL?
All the members.
Now, you see, all the members of the National Assembly have to be there. Now, the argument that we were positing to the court, and we still posit, which the court has declined to hear, to their shame, Banisa constituency, the honorable member of the National Assembly had passed on. So he wasn't there. They were unrepresented. Their political rights were stifled. They were disenfranchised. The National Assembly Speaker did not want to hear that. He did not want to interrogate. National Assembly members did not even question. Mutusa, did you have all the members of the National Assembly? How many? A third? Or 2/3? Or all?
All.
A third.
No. We're talking about Mutusa's motion. It's a third of all the members of the National Assembly. So what do? They do not have the member for Banisa, Gwasi, now Suba South, Ugunja, and Magarini. Now, when you go to the population census, they aggregate in total 501,000 Kenyan people. 500,000 Kenyan people did not have a voice in the National Assembly. Now, what I expected the members of the National Assembly to question is, Mutusa, did you have all the members of the National Assembly? So that you can get a third of them to get your motion. Now, secondly, Mutusa's motion.
Arithmetic issue.
No, it's not arithmetic. You're supposed to convene. Now, go back now to the issue of the Speaker of the National Assembly. When you're voting for the Speaker of the National Assembly, you have to have all the members present. Why? Because every constituency is being represented as a voice of that constituency, those people. Now, when you come to Article 145(2), when they were voting against the Constitution, the framers of the Constitution were very careful to say, all the members of the National Assembly have to be present at that voting. Now, what happened is that you did not have that threshold met. Again, those four constituencies, Banisa, Ugunja, Magarini, and Gwasi, Suba South, were unrepresented. What did that mean for the motion? It was dead on arrival. Did anybody question it? No. Did the Speaker of the National Assembly even investigate that? He chose to be blind to it because he was under a political mission. And that political mission had to be executed. Now, let me finish by saying this. When you look at that motion of Mutuse, the senators, again, did not question him. Why is it that we have 8 names that are cancelled? According to the standing orders of the National Assembly, standing order number 64-5, if any member withdraws their name that is affixed to that motion, it dies a natural death. None of them questioned. Then when you come to the voting, it says again, the order paper that is prepared by the National Assembly, if you have any name that is withdrawn, when they are voting during that motion, then the whole impeachment dies a natural death. Why weren't those questions asked by the Senate? Again, because we're on a political mission. Why did the judiciary ask those questions? We laid it. And of course, again, I'm saying the judiciary wants to suppress and totally act blind to our case, and that's why they don't want to hear it. We laid that on the table. It was dead on arrival.
All right. Are you now saying that based on those, that one issue, you'll definitely file an appeal?
No. We are in the Court of Appeal. We are in the Court of Appeal. Now, this is the paradox of what I was saying about the sham judgment, of this sham decision of the court. They say that Gachagua was denied, or His Excellency Gachagua was denied audience before the Senate, and therefore he should be paid compensation. Now, that in itself suffices. It's an admission, as it were, by them. That look.
Can you allow us also to say something?
I'll come back to you.
You had the podium before we were.
Yes, okay, proceed.
Yeah. So this is an admission by the court that look, we have found a constitutional breach so fundamental to the rights of the person who was supposed to be impeached, such that now we can only order for his compensation. But, excuse me, if you found that that was an unconstitutional act, what are you supposed to do about the quote-unquote result of that? The impeachment. The end result ought to die a death under the law, as it were. So there was no impeachment to speak of. But the court was again fulfilling, extending, and doing a political favor to the demigod who wants to feel that he's controlling everything.
Can I say something?
Senator, I know you want to come into this, but allow us to take a break. You're watching TV47 Breakfast. It is exactly 7:01. We take a short break. We'll come back to continue this conversation.
Maji juu ni tamu kama sali. Ni juicy. Are you bored? Kuna vitu zinakuudhi. Usijali my bro, ibu kama taka juicy juni.
Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m.
You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business.
Na leo mkorada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior. I only have big notes. Alikuwa anatafuta courage.
Yaani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi? Ona kiki ni kama kiwaru.
Hiyo inaitwa commitment to the lie. Amejicommit.
Ndio hiyo. Mpatie.
Unajua kama una mtu kitu, hata tu salamu ya kawaida inakaa kama reminder.
Habari yako?
Sintalipa kesho.
Kesho gani when?
Si kesho kesho ya tomorrow.
Hiyo time. Mzee ni budi nikamchoka. Ni budi ni madeni.
Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m.
Good morning.
You have my rent?
Leo jioni kama tutakuwa tumelipa rent, nauza hii simu yako.
Hamna pesa. I need 3 G's to make my nails today.
Sasa hivi natuhusu aje?
Can I order now? Do you ship? Can I get blinking ones?
Mimi nilikuwa na trade. Nimewekelea kitele yangu. Kitele yangu na trade. Ikikunyuma.
Oh my God. He left me. Nitumie ni line.
Uko nje kuna wifi.
Why? Hi-fi? Wait, so what do we call this dish again?
I have no idea.
The cucumbers are there specifically for my beauty routine.
Tangu lini Kero umeka kwa beauty product?
Na ameenda.
Tunafaa tukuwe na logo yetu. Like, si ni brand already.
You won't entertain divas.
No. I'm not dealing with a man child.
Amazing. Nishapenda hii energy.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Saturday.
My lords and my lady, we do not in the list, I do not in the list want to bring any theatrics or sabotage the administration of justice before you. What has provoked this particular move to the Court of Appeal is the aborting of the hearing on the 4th of June, 2026. And so that Malala friends can respond. On the 7th of May, before you, Laureate Senior Counsel Professor Agitho Mugai gave me the podium so that then you could address everybody in E586. On that day, you gave, in the presence of everybody here, the 4th of June as a hearing date. So that as they address that, it is common ground that that petition was to be heard before the date to render the judgment was given. Thank you, Your Lordships. And thank you for giving me this opportunity.
The subject matter raised by Mr. Kinyanjui relates to a file which is not before us here. And we have not taken any record in this particular file. But for the purpose of transparency, I will ask the parties who are expecting a judgment from us for their comment.
Yes, that was Wakili Harrison Kinyanjui addressing the court on his matter. He questions the constitution of the National Assembly when the impeachment case happened before the National Assembly. That matter, we're not sure. This court did not address it, and you say you've already moved to the Court of Appeal on the same. Right. So definitely some matters have already moved on to the Court of Appeal, and we do await that that court will give its judgment. When you listen to lawyers, sometimes you get lost in a lot of these things. Understandably. But we do have a politician, but you are also in court, Senator Nyoto. And is it certain? Can we say with certainty that definitely Rigathi Gachagua will be moving to the Court of Appeal on this matter?
Thank you, Fred, and allow me to say that, of course, I'm not a lawyer by training, but I'm not completely ignorant in matters law. And so I think there is that legal team that is representing my party leader, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, and I think they are going to advise on whether we are proceeding to the Court of Appeal. But listening to Rigathi Gachagua on Sunday, when he attended a church service, of course, he indicated that if he did not get a favorable judgment yesterday, that he would then proceed to the Court of Appeal. And I want to believe, therefore, that we are definitely going to the Court of Appeal, because, Fred, you don't have to be a lawyer to be able to see where, you know, arguments do not, where there are gaps in law. Because you only need to have some brains to add one and one together. And of course, if somebody tells you that 1 + 1 is equal to 3, then it doesn't matter. You don't have to be a mathematician. You'll tell them 1 + 1 can never be 2. It can never be 3. What am I trying to say, Fred?
Based what?
That 1 + 1 can only be 2. It can never be 3. But anyway, allow me, Senator Mugatana, kindly allow me.
It's equal to 2 if it's base 1.
I mean,
1 + 1 might be more than 2.
Okay, and we'll come
back. I'm just telling him mathematically
I'm just
is wrong.
making a basis of
mathematically is wrong.
What I'm trying to say, and you know, Senator Mugatana wants
no,
disrupt.
I'm not disrupting you. I'm just telling you 1 + 1.
Which will until
Okay.
Senator Mugatana, why don't you wait so that when your time comes, then you can disprove, disapprove what I'm saying. So what I'm trying to say,
they always look for
yes.
Let's all listen to
what I was trying to say is
Senator Nyoto, go ahead.
that in this argument, having gone through or listened, the judges take us through the judgment, you did not have to be a lawyer to be able to see justice was miscarried. Why do I say this, Fred? The judges themselves, or let me say the court, ruled that Rigathi Gachagua's right to fair hearing was violated. And that is why they awarded 50 million Kenya shillings in damages. But then, if the process was not right, why was the product, ruled to have been right? Because we are saying, and I heard Senator Mugatana argue that, and give an example, that if you are an employee, I think of, say, Kenya Breweries, and you have been dismissed from your job and you are not heard and that kind of thing, that you still going to be paid some damages. Somebody can rule, let's pay you something, but you will still go home. Mm-hmm. The difference between the example that Senator Mugatana gave and the particular case in question here of Rigathi Gachagua is that if you are dismissed from Kenya Breweries, to use Senator Mugatana's argument, then you can go to BAT Kenya and get a job. When it comes to an impeachment, if you are impeached, you cannot hold a public office. So Senator Mugatana's example cannot stand in this particular case because we are talking about, a process that renders you, somebody who cannot hold any public office. And so you cannot say that my right to fair hearing under under Article 25 were violated, but then they were violated, but then the result of this violation, you uphold the result of this particular violation. And so the judges or the court ought to have actually quashed this particular impeachment. Number two, Fred, and you don't have to be a lawyer again to know this. The judges continue to say that if they quash this particular, rule, this particular impeachment, then we would have a constitutional crisis because there would be two deputy presidents. Don't forget, Fred, that these are the same judges whom, when Rigathi Gachagua went to court seeking conservatory orders, that Professor Kindiki shouldn't have been then sworn in to prevent a situation like this, where now they are saying that if Rigathi Gachagua's rights are given or granted, then there will be a constitutional crisis. Mm-hmm. Who created this constitutional crisis? It is the same judge. It is the same court. Remember again, Fred, these three judges, Rigathi Gachagua applied that they recused themselves from hearing this case. They actually declined to recuse themselves. And so, Fred, looking at it from out here, why would we even have expected any fair, ruling from these judges? Because, Fred, if I say that, I need justice, because it's a right, justice is a right. And I have reasons to believe that this bench, constituted of Wakili Kinyanjui, Senator Mugatana, and Fred, cannot give me, a fair judgment. Why would you insist? You are not the only judicial officers in Kenya. Why would you insist on, even without giving any reasons? Even without giving any reasons. If I say I feel I don't want to be tried by you, why would you insist? Why would you not allow other judges? Because they are there and there are many to hear me. But for me, basically, it is that you cannot, rule that my right to fair hearing was infringed, then continue to say that the product was right.
Okay.
You cannot fail to recuse yourself and
Thank you, Senator.
continue. And finally, you cannot create a constitutional crisis and then say that you cannot make a fair ruling because of
There's a lot I know, Senator Mugatana, you want to talk about, but because we are still considering the legal aspect, we'll come to the political one. What Senator Nyoto has raised, and this was a pronouncement by the court, the hesitancy or reluctance to create a crisis. And that's true. The court needs to be alive to the fact that whatever it pronounces should not create a crisis. Do you feel that the court was under pressure from that and not really considering the impeachment process? It is just this crisis, the possibility of creating a crisis where we have two deputy presidents.
So, first of all, I want to advise that, and you don't have to take this advice, as a person who has been in this legal profession for a while, and also in the academia, Dr. Mugatana, when you're going into a contest such as this, if you're going to be emotional, you're going to be knocked out. So take it or leave it, but I just want to ask my colleagues to just be calm. The next thing is, when you say recusal, you don't come to court and say, I don't feel, Fred, you are the right person, I feel wrong. An application such as that is supported by an affidavit that would be giving evidence to support that Fred is not the correct judge to sit on this matter. If you are just talking feelings, the court can reject your application, and that is the law. The law doesn't need your approval. The law is the law. Now, when you say that the court was under pressure to make that decision, I don't want to talk too much because I may sound political, but I want to tell my colleague that there are certain principles which are laid down, and somebody who is a lawyer will understand from the standpoint of law that you cannot force an employer to reinstate a dismissed employee. You can't, but you can pay damages. So that principle can be extended in many ways and in many formats. And when the court is saying we will not reinstate, and they give the other reason, it's just an extension.
Was there a prayer to reinstate him?
No, because I'm picking his argument. The court is not talking from the air. The court is following some laid down principles when they say there will be a constitutional crisis. Maybe what my colleague from the Senate did not hear are all the cited authorities, decisions that have been made before. And if you listen to those decisions, a court will not render itself in a situation where instability may occur. So you have all these matters, and this is constitutional principles. These are decisions of the court. So what one can do is to appeal those. And I wish this discussion can be extended beyond the court, because then we are not giving justice to our people. This matter is still live. Harrison has said he's gone to the appeal, and he doesn't know whether they'll file appeal or no. Honorable Senator has said they'll file an appeal. I know from our side that the Senate will file an appeal.
But you're yet to file? No,
filing an appeal is a very simple thing. So I'm sure by today, the headlines will say it, because nowadays it's also online. So I'm sure before lunchtime, the appeal will have been done. But I wanted to address specifically that question of a third of all the member of parliament. The argument Harrison is putting, my learned colleague. Fred, if we are 300 people, a third of 300 is 100. If we are 600 people, a third of 600 is 200. So, if I say a third of 300 people, what I mean is 100 people. Of all the 300 people, all 300 people is 100 people. So if I get signatures of 100 people, I have reached the third. If I get more than 100, is more than one third. We don't need to be emotional about these things, Fred. I have an interpretation, you have an interpretation. What the Constitution says, when we don't agree on our interpretation, we let the court arbitrate that matter. When lawyer Kinyanjui comes to court and says, you know, his matter is so important that even he should arrest the judgment because it's in another court, and he's asked, where's the court judgment or the court order to stop this process? He's not able to proceed and produce it, but he's still insisting it's very important. We agree it's important to you and maybe to your client and everybody else, but not a single advocate there in that court supported his motion, which means there's a problem. In fact, one of them said Harrison applied to be removed from the consolidated case. So I want us to maybe discuss this matter beyond this judgment, because if we just talk dada, we may lose our audience. I think what we need to agree is that there are various issues that have been raised. Some we have agreed, some we have not agreed, and the process is not over. There's the Court of Appeal, there's the Supreme Court, and maybe what we need to do is to agree that we have disagreed on some issues. The Court of
What I'm
Appeal
trying to examine
will render
is the
the
possible
final
grounds for appeal.
judgment.
Yeah, and we've all said that probably the award of 50 million shillings in compensation could be one of the grounds. There's this, what Senator Nyoto raised.
Yes.
The fact that the court talked about the need to ensure that there's no constitutional crisis, and whether or not there can be a remedy to that, because previously we've had the former deputy president saying that he may not necessarily be interested in getting his position back. Is there a way to ensure that that does not affect any other decision? That the fact that there would be no possibility of creating a constitutional crisis if this person is no longer interested in getting the job back, that the current deputy president will remain deputy president, and then that pressure is no longer on the court's wakili. That's the question.
Our case is different, totally different. And I wish Mheshimiwa Mungatana had a look at it instead of speaking from a point of ignorance. That case,
you need to choose your words. Harrison, you came here so emotional.
I'm not emotional. I'm not emotional.
Choose your words. That's why you are not even given.
It's not a court.
Why use words like that? Why use words like ignorance? Is he sure I'm ignorant?
So let me speak.
Does he know the amount of intelligence here?
No.
Does he know? How can you say?
Because he's saying that the case is not important, or is maybe important to my client, unless he has had a look. That's what I say. To say that you're speaking from a point of ignorance it's not in any way to abuse him. I'm saying he's speaking from a point of lack of knowledge. Is that better for you?
On this particular issue.
Yeah, on this particular issue. Because you see, there is no constitutional crisis. First of all, we have argued that Kindiki was never lawfully nominated. Kindiki was never lawfully voted. Now, Mheshimiwa Nyoto will be very adept at saying that, look, we have standing orders. One of the arguments that we raised that was never addressed, and which the court has actively suppressed, doesn't want to come in the public domain, is that standing order number 70 of the National Assembly says that when you vote in the National Assembly, you have to use the expression, I vote yes, or I vote no. Now, when you play what happened on the 18th of October, and I wish that your studio had that National Assembly session. If you go to, I think, hour number 3.04 of that whole session, you will see the voting session for now the roll call. Such and such a person's name is called. You do not hear what they say, but you see the tellers down there on the screen, noting whatever they do. That particular vote is what the court was saying, that this is a delegated decision that is being made by the delegates from their constituents. And he still has not answered the question, Honorable Mugatana, that I was raising. Who spoke for the people of Banisa? Who spoke for the people of Guasi, Suba South? Who spoke for the people of Magarini?
Do you want me to?
No. I give you the point. No. And I'm showing Kindiki was never voted in under the law.
Okay.
And then you see the people who are...
The challenge here is that because this is not the court of law, I'm not a judge, I cannot...
but I'm saying the constitutional crisis that the court has created, just like Mheshimiwa Nyoto was saying. This is a creation of the court. The court had the opportunity to stop, just like we did. And
my question, Wakili, was, would this have been preempted?
Yes.
And I don't know how possible this can be if at all Rigathi Gachagua is no longer interested in that position. What procedure would he use to preempt such?
Allow me. I'm coming to answer that. So I was showing that Kindiki is a constitutional crisis that has been imposed upon us, again by the demigod who wants to feel that he's everything for this country. President William Ruto, he wants to control everything.
Can I take an objection to that? He said it 3 times.
Are you his spokesperson?
I am in government, so I can speak for him.
You are not in government.
I am.
we really
no, but what is this?
You are the senator of your people.
What is this? I mean,
no.
You know, Harrison is so emotional.
I'm not emotional.
Why are you talking about demigods here?
At least so that we move on.
What is this demigod?
Okay, let's go on.
You're trying to score points. If you want to go and get our seats outside there, go and get a seat.
We've agreed to move on.
You know he's speaking to a certain constituency.
I have no political ambition.
Then don't talk like that.
I am a Kenyan.
Don't talk. What is demigod? Who is a demigod? What is a demigod?
The demigod is the one that you have bowed to.
Fred, I think you have to control Senator Mugatana.
No, there's nothing like control.
No.
Yes.
Silence.
I heard him in
silence. But he will not hear other people.
Allow me to give direction.
Give direction, but let people respect other people.
Let me give direction.
Yeah.
We have agreed we will not repeat that statement again. Let's move on from that. And we'll not revisit this. Go ahead, Wakili.
Now, to say that someone is a demigod, is acting like a demigod?
Okay. For the sake of progress on this show.
I will abandon that. But is dictatorial much more acceptable to him?
There's nothing.
If it will cause the same problem, I really want
if we are in court, the court is the one that's making decisions.
I really need the convention to move forward.
The constitutional crisis that has been created by the court is, as Mheshimiwa Nyoto was saying, that the application, and we also made the application, and let me just say as a side issue, that it is very tragic that the court system, being now e-filing, they suppressed the filing of our case, which is why our case was not part of the original filing. They suppressed its filing, its acceptance, because we were asking the court to stop the swearing in of Kindiki, because he was still the cabinet secretary for Interior. And according to Section 3 of the Public Holidays Act, you needed the cabinet secretary for Interior to declare a national holiday for the swearing in of a deputy president. So the conundrum, the paradox that the president found himself in is that he's in Rwanda attending the head of state's meeting on that material day, and a public holiday has to be declared for the following day. And so what happened is that overnight, when he's in Rwanda without the public seal, he publishes Executive Order number 5 of 2024, he forgot that he had published Executive Order number 5 of 2024 in July. And this is one of the issues that we raised in our case, that they don't want to come to the public domain. This is part of the constitutional crisis. So the court refused and declined to stop the swearing in on that illegality. And you have a Chief Justice who, fully aware and being alive to that fact, goes and swears this person and creates a constitutional crisis. Now, the constitutional crisis that we will be accosted by today is that, peradventure, the president that he so much defends falls down in ailment that totally incapacitates him. And we need someone to act as a president. Or, God forbid, he dies. The president dies. Who will, in the intervening period, ascend to the presidency? in an acting capacity.
Right.
No. Let me finish. Allow me to finish this point. A person who's unelected, a person not voted for by anybody, a person who never appeared before the National Assembly to be asked by the people of Magine, wewe ni kibaraka wa huyo ambaye amekuteua. Wewe una...
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Yes. The Kenyan people never voted for that. That's a constitutional crisis the court allowed to permeate. Now, would there be a constitutional crisis if the impeachment is overturned? Absolutely not, because we had combined, in our own case, the impeachment itself being illegal and constitutional, and the so-called nomination without the IEBC of Kindiki and his ascendancy to the deputy president being also illegal. Right. So we would then demolish all of that, and we would have the status quo ante before this whole issue arose. So there is no constitutional crisis.
And I tell you, dealing with lawyers, I think it's only judges and senior officers of the High Court or the bar. Yes. The bench, rather.
Do you want to have counter arguments?
I don't want to go back to that because I realize we may not be able to. Right. I want us to move on to the political implications of these pronouncements. But before that, let's get an update from our reporter on the streets, Muthoni Brenda. Good morning once again. And what do the people on the streets of Nairobi say about what happened yesterday with the pronouncements by the High Court?
Well, a very good morning to you, Fred Indimuli, and that stellar panel that you have back in studio. And well, Senators Joe Nyoto, Danson Mungatana, and Wakili Harrison Kenyanjui are conducting a legal and political autopsy of the verdict that was released yesterday here in the streets of the capital. Nairobians that we have talked to have told us that they are still struggling to come to terms with how Kenyans are expected to fund this institutional blunder. Now, Fred, I am standing right here in front of a live session from the Bunge la Mwananchi. We had their thoughts yesterday before the judgment hearing. And what better way to make this moment full circle than to get where their mind coordinates are at after yesterday's verdict. Habari yako, good morning.
Good morning.
Acha nikushikie hii.
Shukran. Kwa majina naitwa Vincent Opeli. Mimi kwa maoni yangu kuhusu uamuzi wa koti jana, kuna jambo moja lilijitokeza. Nilishangaa koti imepiga Senate Senate fine ya 50 million. Ile hali wanasema kwamba zile rights za Gachagua hazikuzingatiwa. Kama rights za Gachagua hazikuzingatiwa, ni vipi bado hiyo impeachment bado ilikuwa upheld? Kama rights hazikuzingatiwa, ingekuwa ni vizuri hiyo impeachment ikuwe nullified. Another thing chenye niliona kilijitokeza chenye kilinifurahisha mimi, kuna hili jambo sugu limekuwa limejitokeza mara mingi sana kuhusu public participation. Na koti nilifurahia wakati koti ilisema kwamba public participation, wakati state imefacilitate public participation na watu wa participate hata kama ni wawili ama ni mmoja, so long as the state has facilitated the process, that one quantifies the public participation. Kwa hivyo hayo mawili tu ndio mimi niliona yamenikanganya, na hilo la public participation nilifurahia koti ilifafanua vizuri. In the future, wakati wote kutakuwa na issue ya public participation, I think hakutakuwa na mushkil. Thank you.
Alright, mushkil ni nini?
Mushkil ni shida,
Yeah. Alright, so pale studioni tunaye wakili Harrison Kenyanjui na Senator Danson Mungatana. Na wote wamesema wote wanaenda Court of Appeal. Senate inaenda Court of Appeal, Gachagua anaenda Court of Appeal. Maoni yako ni yapi?
I agree with them because they have their own legal rights to exhaust the judicial procedure. Eh? But now I was a little bit bad up because the court cannot grant a violation of rights. They are saying Gachagua was violated, rights was violated, but they cannot give a remedy of violation of right. But anyway, madam, let me show you two things. That was a political case, at the same time a legal case. So continue have raised a fundamental question in terms of question of plunder that the parliament did. Now,
the Senate.
the Senate did. So they've actually plundered, and they are bringing Gachagua out of that plunder. They have to stick to the constitution when it comes to impeachment. Whenever there is an impeachment case, either of governor, either of Senate, either of president, they have to stick to constitutional principles and procedure. That is number one. Number two, if it was a political case, I want to tell you that Gachagua has to suffer. Gachagua tutampiga 6-0. Gachagua tutamshinda parliament, tutamshinda kotini, Gachagua tutamshinda Olkalau, Gachagua tutamshinda general election, Gachagua tutamshinda Supreme Court. 6-0. Thank you very much.
Na wewe maoni yako ni yapi?
On the yesterday postmortem on the Gachagua impeachment, all the due process was undertaken. In fact, the lawyer said that there was no public participation, and actually it was well articulated. It was all that done. Only the blunder only comes on the Senate, whereby they ought to have adjourned the processes, but they did it that much fast. But all the due processes was all articulated, and all the process was all taken as per the law, as per required. So the impeachment of Gachagua was not on the political affiliation, but to me, all the process and the legal process was undertaken as per the law, as per required.
Now my question is this, yes? So the Senate ndio inalipa hii 50 million, but at the end of the day, this money comes from the taxpayers' pockets. Wewe unasikiaje kama Mkenya?
So this is a big blunder on our Senate issue. They ought to have given Gachagua more time for the adjournment so that all the process can take place in an amicable manner. That's where the blunder comes in. Yeah.
And maybe kuna mtu ako na a question to our panelists today? Who he has? Okay.
Not a question, but it's a compliment. First of all, I want to correct the members of the Bunge la Mwananchi. As of what happened yesterday, we saw the court ruling, but we were unsatisfied. Why? First of all, if you look on the judgment on that ruling, they said that the Senate, they never met what we call the Senate committee. So there wasn't the Senate committee. Again, Honorable Deputy President Honorable Gachagua was hospitalized in Karen. And actually, the proceeding were going on in the Senate.
Okay, now tell you what. We have his lawyer, Harrison Kenyanjui, in studio. Maybe uko na swali unataka kumuuliza before we wind up?
Swali ni, nezataka kuuliza even the judiciary. If 50 million alipewa, it under which factor? Because we don't really understand, because umempeach Gachagua, and at the same time umempea 50 million. So Gachagua, we never wanted 50 million. It's just the clearance of the court, and to make sure that the parliamentarians, the parliament and the Senate walifuata the protocol. Hatukatai the impeachment, but was the process legal?
All right, there you have it, Fred Ndimuli, and tunangoja hapa kusikia majibu from wakili and from the honorable senators in studio. Back to you, Ndimuli.
Thank you so much, Modhoni Brenda, and for the stellar work you're doing there, and for that cooperation with the Bunge la Mwananchi. Asanteni sana kwa maoni yenu. And I know we've been asked a question that I feel that was already addressed, had already been addressed. So I want us to move on straight to the political implications. And we start off not on Rigathi Gachagua's political trajectory, but the precedent set by the pronouncements yesterday, especially on the threshold for impeachment of a deputy president, because now going forward, this was unprecedented. It's the very first time, but now we are learning a few things. What is the biggest lesson, Senator Nyoto, we've learned from this in as far as impeachment is concerned, and even the selection of a running mate going forward?
Thank you, Fred. But allow me to just say one or two things without taking you back, that, to assure Senator Mongatana that each one of us has a way of expressing themselves. So if I express myself when maybe I'm making a point by raising my voice, you cannot call that emotional. It's my way of speaking. And so people should speak the way they do and allow others to speak the way they do. Number two, Fred, I think Senator Mongatana should drop the argument, although we are not going to go back to that. Riggy G was not, he dropped the prayer to be reinstated in office. And so actually our major prayer, or Rigathi Gachagua's major prayer, was that we quash the impeachment. And so the argument that, you know, there will be a constitutional crisis if we quash the same, because I mean,
restatement was not
yes, the restatement was not one of the prayers. It was actually dropped in the amended petition, and that should be remembered. And I think the rule of sub judice, which Senator Mugatana indicated, he said that the matter is live. I think the appeals are yet to be filed, and so I think we are safe from the rule of sub judice until then. The appeal has been lodged with the court, formally, and just to remind Senator Mugatana, because he's getting very act when Wakili Kenyanjui, refers to President Ruto, to tell Senator Mugatana that there is no way whatsoever you can be able to remove President Ruto from the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua. So Senator Mugatana may continue supporting President Ruto, but he cannot remove him from this particular impeachment. Why? Because, Fred, we have had people who said that they were called in public. Nobody didn't hear what the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Sholei, said in Eldoret, and they said that ukisema Gachagua ende nyumbani, tunampeleka nyumbani. Nobody did not hear Tabitha Karanja, the senator for Nakuru, say that she was called to State House and told by President Ruto that she had to impeach Rigathi Gachagua. This is something that is in public domain. So Senator Mugatana, regardless of how much you may want to, remove President Ruto from this, my brother, you cannot be able to, because he is in the middle of it. And I do not want to say other things, but of course, you know that President Ruto, through the Speaker of the National Assembly, had already been able to secure a special sitting even before the impeachment was done, because Rigathi Gachagua was impeached at around 12 midnight on the 17th of October 2024. By 9 the following morning, there was already, a sitting of the National Assembly to discuss the name of the new deputy president, who had been appointed by President Ruto at night. So there is no way you can be able to extricate President Ruto from this. So I just to to ask my very good friend and colleague to stop engaging in an exercise of hair splitting, because there is no way you can remove President Ruto from this. And when dictatorship and demigods are mentioned,
you want
here,
to have a comeback on that?
It's coming to next. Hold your horses.
One thing you should do, Fred,
just answer the question,
is to ask Senator Mugatana. We are listening to him. We are hearing him in complete silence. I think Senator Mugatana is misbehaving this morning, because he will not allow others to speak. Senator Mugatana, you are a sober leader. You can be able to hold your points. You can hold your points until you get time. That is what we are doing. Learn from us.
That's what I'm doing.
Anyway, to answer your question.
So that the show can go on.
Yes, but you see, I had to respond because I had not been given an opportunity. But of course, there are many political implications from the ruling yesterday. But what I want to say, you asked me what it means.
On the position of Deputy President and running mate going forward after this pronouncements were made.
I really think, I really don't think that there is anything to do with the nomination of the Deputy President. I think it has everything to do with the manners of the President. That, because now we are talking politics, not this Lego thing. What should happen, Fred, is that going forward, when a presidential candidate nominates a running mate, who will then be the deputy president, if they win the election, they must know that once you nominate me as your deputy president, that the vote will read both your name and my name. And so the people must know, deputy president is not a vice president who is just nominated by the president. This is somebody whom Kenyans vote for. And regardless of what people may want to say, sometimes I may not like as a voter, I may not like the presidential candidate, but I like the deputy president.
It is the ease with which you can get rid of a deputy president I'm more concerned about. It happened, and it was fast-tracked. Within 2 days it was done.
That's what I'm saying, but I think that will have more to do with the legal position, and that is why there is this particular contention in court, that where you just use your power as president. Like I've told you, you are calling people and intimidating them because you are president to make sure that your deputy is impeached. Then I think the courts are supposed to come and, of course, then now deliver, you know, deliver the fair position, because, of course, the president...
Now, after the court pronouncement yesterday, the way it's gone, do you feel that even the impeachment process or the judiciary's input is sufficient?
I think I heard the judges say that they make a declaration that Parliament should come up with a law to deal with the impeachment of a deputy president.
Correct.
Because remember, what is there in the Constitution, Fred, is the removal from office of the president. Then there is a provision or proviso, I don't know whether that is what they call it, that the same will apply for the removal of deputy president. So I think it's important that Parliament then comes up with the law as per the declaration by the court yesterday that relates to the removal of a deputy president from office. And I think all those matters should be considered when coming up with this law, so that then we can prevent or protect the deputy president from the influence of the president in the removal of a deputy president from office. So I think this law will, of course, need a lot of input from Kenyans through public participation and a lot of, scholarly advice and legal consultations, so that tomorrow a deputy president will be removed not on the basis of what the president wants, but on the basis of the legal provisions that then will be created by Parliament when coming up with this law, if at all.
Yes.
But the bill is there. The bill is there.
Before I come to Wakili, you may be deputy president in future. The new constitution, the Constitution 2010, definitely was aware of the fact and needed a shift from how vice presidents had been treated before. But it would appear that the impeachment of a deputy president is getting easier and easier, given the kind of process we've seen so far. Do you agree that, yes, something needs to happen to ensure that this deputy president is not the same as a vice president?
I think on the removal, I wanted to agree with my honorable colleague, his interpretation that the court has given guidance. There appears to be a legal gap, and the legal framework ought to be developed so that we have a proper system of how do we remove a deputy president. But I think it should go all the way to deputy governors as well. From the Senate perspective, I think this is good advice, and it's taken well. But you have asked also about how we should treat deputy presidents, and may I say deputy governors as well.
Or running mates, for that matter.
Running mates, yes. I have maybe a very boring view, or what you find maybe not very exciting view of leadership. You see, leadership is God's business, from where I sit. And God only appoints people to take his charge of his people to run, and that's how I define my leadership. And when God doesn't want to act in that role, whether it is in CEO of a company or whatever, in politics, he will remove you. Okay? When you read the Bible, Saul was removed because there were issues with him and God. And we can have all these arguments, but I will tell you, Fred, that when it's time to go, God doesn't negotiate with you. And I wanted to say that if I'm a leader and I've been given position and I've messed up or I've done something wrong, the person I will go to is God, to talk to him about this, repent, make right what is wrong, and then resolve those matters with him. He will give you an opportunity. We've had 13 vice presidents in this country, and out of the 13, you remember Jaramogi left, 5 of them left, Jaramogi, Murumbi, Mwai Kibaki, Josephat Karanja, and finally George Saitoti. The 5 of them left. And then of these 5, one of them became president, which means at the time that he left, from my own perspective, and I may be wrong, God had not finished his business with him, okay? So people had organized to have him removed. Just like I believe if George Saitoti had stayed on, maybe there was, you know, he could have probably gone higher. But my own thinking is that if the favor of God is with you, it doesn't matter how people connive and plan and do what, you will still come back. Look at how Mwai Kibaki left. I remember when he left, he went to Mombasa and he announced the formation of Democratic Party. And you are all so shocked, how do you leave the presidency? But he said he's resigning to run. And when the Rainbow Coalition came, I was on the side of Mwai Kibaki, the DP, because you see there was the other side of ODM, and there was this, Raila and the side of President Kibaki. And God helped us to get this election done and on our side, and he did a good job, I think. So from my perspective, one deputy president, one vice president died, Wamalwa Kijana, in office, and 2 of them ascended to office. That is President William Ruto and Moi. And you will all remember the stories around Moi, the stories around William Ruto before they became president. I will again say that leadership is God's business, and he will choose his own people in his own way, even if we argue this matter no matter how much. My father, many years ago before he passed away, told me, now I'm coming to the issue of running mate. My father told me, if you're going to get married, and I was in class 7, a very young boy, start praying now. And to me, I see like that family unit is like a president and a running mate. It's that conjoined, it's that close, because you are always somewhere near each other. I would think, in my own thinking, and this you don't have to agree, that it's a very prayerful decision to make a decision who will be your running mate as a deputy governor or a deputy president if you are running for that office. And then, even as you pray about it, you would want to get it to a panel, people who are within your close circles, to give you a thinking. Maybe they have also been praying about it. Maybe you also get pastors or Muslim preachers or whatever you believe in, to also give you an input, because that choice is critical. But if you make a mistake, like people can also make a mistake on even electing you, maybe you are not the person, you can be impeached. That's why there is a provision. And if you made a mistake in choosing the deputy president, he can be impeached. That's why there is a provision. And for me, whatever those legal issues and whatever that is coming up now, I think if you want to have a role in running this country, you need to sort out things with your God, and then the rest will be okay. If you haven't sorted out things with your God, you can go to the Supreme Court, you can go whatever. And I with a lot of respect, I give the example of when that court decision came, that Uhuru Kenyatta's decision, president election has been nullified. When it was nullified, we were all worried what's going to happen, what not, because we were on that side at that time. And then something funny happened. Raila never put any competition on it, which means, again, it doesn't matter. You can go to all these courts. If God has decided this is the person I want to lead this nation or to lead this constituency. You can do so many things, but at the end of the so that's why I keep saying, Fred, if I can just finish that.
Because we need to get an update from elsewhere.
At the end of it, let's do the politics, let's do the whatever. It's like farming. You farm, then you let the rain, God decides if you will harvest. Let's do the policies, but let's not destroy the country.
Yeah, allow us to get an update from Nakuru now. Mike Chalo is our reporter on the ground, also ready with some people who are keen to chime into this conversation. Good morning to you, Mike. What are the people of Nakuru saying about what we are discussing today?
Thank you so much, Fred. Good morning to you. And today I'm privileged to have some of the petitioners. In this case, I have Madam Assumpta, that was petitioner number 3, and Mr. Ngatia, petitioner number 2 in this case, which tried to reinstate Gachagua's position as the deputy president. Good morning, Madam Assumpta. Tukianza na wewe moja kwa moja, pengine, what does it mean for this court decision? Does it mean that you guys did not provide sufficient evidence to make Gachagua still remain as the deputy president?
Kwa majina naitwa Assumpta Wagoiwa Muiruri, petitioner nambari 3 katika hii kesi ya Honorable Rigathi Gachagua. Mimi as a petitioner nasema ya kwamba si ya kwamba hatukutoa mambo ya kuridhisha koti, lakini ilionekana wazi siku ya jana kwa majudges wale ambao walikuwa wanaamua hii kesi, hata body language peke yake ilikuwa ni dhihirisho tosha ya kwamba walikuwa wanahofia kutoa uamuzi, na pia nikana kwamba walikuwa wanafanyia mtu kazi. Niseme ya kwamba sisi hata wa Kenya peke yao walishasema ya kwamba public participation was not right, na pia majudges walisema the same thing, na pia the bench of the 3 judges walisema hawakuwa wanafaa kufanya hiyo kazi ya kungatua Gachagua.
Sababu ambazo mlitoa wanasema kuwa zilikuwa zimezingatia sana ama zimezingatiwa kisiasa. Mnadhani kama mliweza kutoa sababu za kutosha?
Tuliweza kutoa kwa sababu kama vile nilikuwa namalizia kusema, the bench of the 3 judges, sisi kama petitioners tulikuwa tunasema ya kwamba hawakustahili ama hawakukuwa wametoshea kumngatua Gachagua, and the court said the same, hawakukuwa wanatoshea kumngatua Gachagua, but the court went ahead na ikasema the same, alafu ika overturn. So me as a petitioner sijaridhika na sijawachia hapo. I want to join wakili Ndegwa Jiro na wakili Gacheri vile walisema tunaendelea na hii kesi na tunaenda hatua hiyo nyingine. Hata mimi as a petitioner I join them. Tutaendelea mbele, na niseme ya kwamba Kenya sasa imenidhihirisha wazi ya kwamba mahakama ya Kenya haiwezi kusimamia mtu yeyote, hata haiwezi kusimamia hata maiti, kwa sababu they are serving a particular person na wanaserve si mwingine, President Ruto.
Asante, ni madai tu hayo. Mr. Ngatia, you are the petitioner number 2. What does this impeachment reinstatement mean to Rigathi Gachagua's future in Kenya's politics?
The future of Rigathi is very bright, and it's unfortunate that they would think that they can dim Rigathi Gachagua's future. Rigathi Gachagua, in his status, is the only person acknowledged by the courts that he could actually stand and defend his position, from the beginning to the end, verbatim. He would actually say it without reference to any book. So he is actually an individual who for sure has a bright future ahead. But that said, on matters arising from yesterday's ruling, it is saddening to actually see that the court of law, a court that we all believe in and wanted to see it make a ruling, failed to really do the rightful thing yesterday. I am actually reminded of Chief Justice Maraga. And a court's responsibility is not necessarily to develop a law. It is actually to make it clear to the Kenyans, And when there was a controversy about an election in 2017, which was extremely controversial, we saw a judge in Maraga who stood clear and said the process was flawed. And he actually asked that the process must be repeated.
What should we expect as you guys move to the Court of Appeal?
I mean, ipo siku inakuja ndugu. I'm telling you, the Court of Appeal, if it stands by the rule of law, I'm telling you, Gachagua will have his day in office. He will laugh again. because it was very clear that they all agreed that there are a number of things that Gachagua was denied, and they were rightfully his, and they denied him. But very unfortunate that you say one thing on one side and then say the other thing on the other side, and this is the same court. Let me remind you, earlier before, the reason as to why Gachagua was impeached is because the court itself had agreed and said that they can overturn even the impeachment after anything, even if it's impeached. But now yesterday, if you listen very clearly, they actually said that an impeachment is final. So now the court on one side says that they can overturn, and then finally they say we can't, it is final. So this is a court that is actually reading from the same book, the Constitution, but translating giving two different decisions. Very unfortunate.
Thank you so much. Lastly, in a minute kindly, to the opposition. Hii inamaanisha nini kwa muungano wa upinzani? Gachagua alikuwa ametangaza kuwa atawania urais kupitia kiti cha DCP. Mpaka sasa Gachagua baada ya uamuzi huu wa jana ni kuwa hawezi kushikilia nafasi yoyote ya ofisi ama ya kiserikali. Maoni yako ni gani hasa kuhusiana na upinzani?
Jina langu ni Jimmy Wakakafo, mimi ni one of the petitioners, na niseme ya kwamba I'm very disappointed and of course all Kenyans are very disappointed after we saw yesterday witnessed a high court full of judges with absurdity and madness in interpretation of the law. Na niseme kwamba katika uamuzi wa jana, mimi haswa kwangu nilishangaa kuona koti ikisimama kusema ya kwamba public participation ambayo ilifanyika kwa Wakenya kuonyesha ya kwamba kama wanaridhika na uamuzi wa National Parliament na Senate haigeweza, walitetea wabunge kusema ya kwamba hawangeweza wako na what we call it, wako na right, wako na uwezo wa kuweza kuamua mambo mengine hata bila kuuliza wananchi.
Opposition, tukienda kwa opposition, pengine hili linamaanisha nini kwa opposition na vile vile kwa Rais William Ruto katika uchaguzi mkuu?
Jana kulikuwa na watu wawili ambao walikuwa wanahusika katika kesi hii. Mmoja ni William Ruto ambaye ni rais na mwingine ni Rigathi Gachagua. Rigathi Gachagua was the loser kwa sababu sasa hawezi kusimama kiti chochote cha kisiasa, na kwa hivyo, lakini sio mwisho. Sio jana katika high court, sio mwisho. Tunatarajia ya kwamba sisi kama petitioners tunaenda court of appeal, na tunataka kutarajia kwamba kule court of appeal tutakutana na judges ambao wanaelewa sheria.
Kwa sekunde 10 upinzani utakuwa na nguvu zaidi ama utakuwa dhaifu baada ya kesi hii kuamuliwa?
Hatujaogopa, sisi tuko imara. Opposition tuko strong, tuko sawa. Na hakuna mahali ambapo wasifikirie kuimpeach Gachagua kwamba wameimpeach opposition yote. Hawajaimpeach wa Kenya ambao wanasema ni one term. Kwa hivyo sisi tuko strong.
Asante sana. Fred, those are some of the petitioners. You can just get to hear from their bitterness as a result of yesterday's court's decision that was made at the Supreme Court. And without much ado, allow me to give it to Willie Dennis Jiru in Naivasha.
Thank you very much, Mike. From the other end, I receive it on this end live from Naivasha CBD here. We have reactions, a mix of reactions from Naivasha residents, which I will not wish to take much time, but hand over the mantle to them so that they can say what they have to say regarding what happened yesterday. Nieleze majina yako. Kesi imeamuliwa kotini na majaji watatu. Anza kwa jina. Maoni yako ni gani?
Jina yangu ni Hana na nimeokoka, Yesu ni Bwana. Mimi kwa maoni yangu, kulingana na vile kesi iliendelea, inaonelea ndugu yetu Rigiji aachie hiyo Mungu maneno, kwa sababu Mungu analipishaga, na hii mambo yote ni ya dunia na itakuja kuisha. Yangu ni hayo tu, atulie tu, ahudumie Mungu, aachane na maneno hii ingine, kwa sababu mtu anaweza kukatia kesi, lakini Mungu ndiye anaona kwa roho. Ndio hayo tu ningesema.
Haya, wacha tupate mzee huyu. Mzee, jambo, karibu sana. Nieleze majina yako na utueleze maoni yako kama mzee.
Mimi naitwa Francis Nganga. Na sasa maoni yangu ni kuonyesha ya kwamba Gachagua hakuwa na makosa, kwa sababu kama angekuwa na makosa ni kesi itakatwa, afungwe ama apigwe faini. Lakini sasa hii inaonyesha yeye mwenyewe ndio analipwa. Analipwa kwa nini kama ana makosa? Na kama sio hivyo, angekuwa yeye mwenyewe, hiyo kesi si ya ukweli. imekatwa kulingana na vile serikali ilikuwa ikitaka. Na
kuna mawakili walisema ili uamuzi kama huo ufanyike mpaka kuwe na wawakilishi maeneo bunge wote, lakini kulikuwa na baadhi yao ambao hawakuwepo. Wakasema kwamba hili haliwezi fanyika ikiwa wote hawapo. Sijui maoni yako kuhusiana na haya.
Mimi kwa maoni yangu naweza hii inaonyesha bunge yetu hata kama wangekuwako ingekuwa hivyo hivyo tu vilivyoendelea.
Aende Court of Appeal ama asiende? Asikie maoni ya mzee.
Naweza kusema kama ameona hakukatiwa kisheria, basi anaweza enda kotini arudisha apili, na tena Mungu anaweza kumsaidia. Yeah.
Haya, wacha tusikie kutoka kwa jamaa hapa. Nieleze majina yako na unieleze maoni yako ni gani kuhusiana na hili.
Okay, kwa majina yangu mimi naitwa Jose, ama jina ya mtaa mimi naitwa Jose Wapunda. Wakati mmoja, wakati nilikuwa nalelewa na guka na baba yangu, wakati mmoja nilikuwa nikilelewa na guka na baba yangu, waliniambia kesi ya chui hawezi katia mbusi kesi mzuri, kwa sababu mwishowe lazima atamkula. Mimi naona niambie tu Gachagua, hawa majaji ni marafiki wa chui.
Sasa turudi kwa kesi vile ilivyoamuliwa. So maoni yako ni gani? Aende kwa Court of Appeal ama awachane nayo?
Awachane nayo kabisa. Kwa sababu hata akienda Court of Appeal itaenda hivyo hivyo. Kwa sababu chui ndio ako na hii kesi. Na Gachagua ni mbuzi. Kwa hivyo lazima atamkula.
Nikiuliza swali ambalo nimemuuliza aliyekutangulia. Mawakili walisema kwamba lazima ili kuwe kuna sheria itakayofuatwa na iweze kuadimika mpaka wabunge wote wakuwepo, na kumetokea kwamba baadhi ya wabunge hawakuwepo kwa sababu walikuwa wameteuliwa kuwa mawaziri na wengine hawakuwepo kwenye viti. Sijui utasema nini kuhusiana na hilo?
Haya, mimi kwangu ningemwambia achane na mambo ya kusema wabunge ama mawakili. Hao wote wako chini ya chui. Kwa hivyo agoje tumalize tuondoe hii serikali iko saa hii, atalete kesi baadaye. Kwa sababu saa hii haitawezekana.
So lako la mwisho, ushauri wako ukiwa mkazi wa Naivasha kwa kikosi kizima cha aliyekuwa naibu rais Rigathi Gachagua?
Mimi ningeambia tu Rigathi Gachagua, kwa sababu Rigathi Gachagua ni my friend na ni brother yangu, na nadhani ananijua na ananielewa sana. Nimwambie aache kusukumana na chui, kwa sababu baadaye atamkula. Agoje tuondoe serikali, hiyo kesi arudishe baadaye.
Abaki tu kwa siasa.
Abaki tu kwa siasa.
Naam.
Hiyo tu. Asante sana. Yes.
That is it, Freddy, from this part of the country. We are going for a short commercial break. When we return with you from the other side of the broadcasting house.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m.
Good morning.
You have my rent?
Leo jioni kama tutakuwa tumelipa rent, nauza hii simu yako.
Hamna pesa. I need 3 G's to make my nails today.
Sasa hivi natuhusu aje?
Can I order now? Do you ship? Can I get blinking ones?
Mimi nilikuwa na trade. Nimewekelea kitele yangu. Kitele yangu na trade. Ikikunyuma.
Oh my God. He left me.
Nitumie ni line. Uko nje kuna wifi.
Why? Hi-fi?
Wait, so what do we call this dish again?
I have no idea. The cucumbers are there specifically for my beauty routine.
Tamulini kero umeka kwa beauty product.
Na ameenda.
Tunafaa tukuwe na logo yetu. Like, si ni brand already. We won't entertain divas.
No. I'm not dealing with a man child.
Amazing. Nishapenda hii energy.
Sundays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Saturday at 8:30 p.m.
My father used to tell me that a hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. Ooh, yeah. We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In, the best experience in Eastern Central Africa and its environs.
Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on TV47. Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m.
This is a very serious place.
I see that. Surely.
Hey, nyumba.
This is the place.
Just for a few days.
Rule number 2.
Kwani Google inajua maisha yangu wewe?
That's my seat.
It's a chair. It was hers.
You're new here? Yes. You learned the rhythm.
This place is run by structure. Structure.
It is a system. Ni venye tu ni system excuse. And what happens if something you haven't chosen enters your day?
I remove it.
That's not always going to be possible here.
Then you are going to have a problem.
Noted.
What are you planning? To escape from a resort?
This is not a resort, my friend. This is a storage.
Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47.
All right, welcome back. You're still watching TV47 Breakfast. We're just getting to the very final leg of this discussion. Now focusing on the political implications of Rigathi Gachagua's impeachment. We're going with the pronouncements made by the High Court yesterday. Things could change. This matter may be taken to the Court of Appeal and even to the Supreme Court. Things could change, but we're talking about how the situation is currently. We were discussing about the nature of a deputy president or even a running mate going forward, given the pronouncements by the court yesterday. Does this now change probably even the DNA of the kind of person that would be a perfect running mate?
Thank you very much, Fred. Before I respond to your query, I think from the general perspective, running across your participants in Nakuru, I believe, and elsewhere, is that there is this sheer lack of faith in the judiciary. It has sunk to probably its lowest ebb, if you ask me. And it is sort of decisions that have been made by these judges that you hear. But I must confess that they are very hardworking, very committed, diligent, honest, and should I say with the highest integrity, judges and magistrates. But there is another class of judges and magistrates who are a bane. They are actually an embarrassment and shame to the judiciary. And I think it will get to a point that we will have to have a Ringera type of sort of cleanup of the judiciary, get rid of all these mess. And we do not have right now, as we speak, a functional judiciary where you can have faith and confidence. And Senator Mheshimiwa said earlier on that, look, this lack of faith in the judiciary is something very worrisome. And I think with tremendous respect to the Chief Justice, she has let go, she has let this. We even wrote to her on Friday that, look, you're the head of the judiciary, part of the Constitution. Could you intervene in this sort of scenario that we are going to have an embarrassment? Like now, what is going to happen now to our case? And we told her in our communication that you are likely to have a decision made as it was made yesterday, and now our own case when it's going to be made. Now, look, we have raised all these issues. There was no voting in Parliament and all that. That implicates the judiciary. Why am I saying this? Because a judiciary is part of the cog of this scenario in terms of the appointment of, nomination of a candidate of a president and the subsequent removal of that. Now, I blame the Senate. Since 2018, Fred, since 2018, the Senate has been having the impeachment bill of a president. What does it say there in the preamble of that particular bill? What is it meant for?
So the Impeachment Procedure Bill 2018, this is a bill for an act of parliament to provide for the procedure for the removal from office by impeachment of a president, deputy president, cabinet secretary, governor, deputy governor, and a member of a county executive committee, and for connected purposes.
But Fred, you hear a senator saying that we need to sit down and make a bill. Since 2018, that bill has been like that. 2018. And you ask, Article 94, sub-article 4 of the Constitution says that Parliament shall endeavor to do everything to uphold the principles and values in the Constitution and to promote democratic governance in Kenya. Democratic governance. So you have a president.
Can I inform?
No. You have to. You spoke for 7 minutes. You spoke for 7 minutes, and I said nothing.
Because if you talk over each other,
I'm not talking. I'm just saying.
Why don't you have decorum? Why don't you just have decorum?
2018 is a different.
Well, they just have a decorum. I mean, 2018. You have not revived it. What Mugatana said here. You ask him the same question. What he said here is that someone has to look up to God. I mean, he is the promoter of a bill which he withdrew after we went to court.
Which one?
To stifle the religious bill, the organization bill. To stifle religious worship, that you cannot worship. That is what he promoted.
Now you are misinforming. Now you are misinforming.
You withdrew the bill after we went to court.
No.
Okay, what is it?
I withdrew the bill after we had 2,000 bishops, pastors, members of the clergy, senior members, and we sat here in Nairobi. And they asked that I give them an opportunity for them to self-regulate.
Why was he taking the bill
that is
to stifle religious worship?
No.
I have studied the bill. You probably did not. I took that to court.
Harrison.
No. I was here within the context.
See, Harrison likes raising
I'm on the podium. No. Because he said no. I was responding because he said your springboard is that you have to pray to God. You have to seek God out. And
so how does that?
No. Let me speak. And he went off on a tangent to speak of Saul, and that Saul was actually rejected by God, and therefore Saul then had to leave, quote unquote, leave with it. But he doesn't want them to hear me respond and say that if someone is going to go that path, he was at the forefront to table a bill before the Senate to curtail.
That is totally nonsensical.
No.
I must repeat.
Okay.
Your interpretation. I will not withdraw. I will not withdraw. He's lying to the public. We are in front of the public. I will not agree with him trying to refer to falsehood. I was the sponsor of the bill. And I have explained what it is that we had.
Let's move on from that.
Let's move on. Let me go back. Let me go there because now I'm here.
Yes,
I'm here talking about
the issues.
The impeachment bill. This is one of the issues.
Intimidate us. Don't go. You intimidate.
Senator,
now, if you're feeling intimidated, that is not my cause.
Okay, shouting doesn't change anything.
Let's move on.
Speak the issues.
Are you feeling intimidated?
No. How? By Harrison Kinyanjui.
Can we all follow Senator
all right, okay.
Nyoto's
Talk
example?
the issues.
I keep quiet.
Yes.
Senator Nyoto has told him,
talk the issues.
Rein in your horses. And like his colleague in the National Assembly, if you don't have your horses, you rein in your mules. That's what he says. Now, I was at the point of saying that the Senate has had a bill. And in our court case, we had brought that bill onto the table of the court, but they don't want to look at that. Now they go into their recommendation and they say that, Parliament, the Senate has to come up with it. The bill is there for heaven's sake. But it has not been acted on since 2018. How many years is that? 8 years? 8 years? Do they look at a dot and a comma every month? Is it what we pay them for? Is it the articulation of and the fulfillment of Article 94(4) of the Constitution? So you have a president that's supposed to nominate a deputy president from his political party. And we say in this instance, because you're using the current template, what happened and, as it were, the projected future. Where do we go from here?
Okay.
And how does it look? So the president in this instance goes and nominates Kindiki in the wee hours of the night because there is an impeachment on 17th of October 2024. And somehow in the wee hours of the morning, he's able to get 2,000 signatures of the UDA people to say that we are supporting Kindiki's nomination. There is no NDA, the NDC, there is absolutely no meeting for the UDA, but somehow he does it. What am I saying? He has usurped, he took it upon himself to take over the role of the political party, that he should, under Article 137 of the Constitution, ensure that this person meets the threshold of a deputy president.
Okay.
Then, the question is this: if going
really
forward,
need us to talk about the politics going forward, and I think you keep taking us back to the legalese.
No. I'm now. If we have to have a deputy president who is nominated within the political spectrum, that he has A, acceptance, B, legitimacy, and C, he is within the bounds of the law. We have to accept that this is not the paradigm that we had during Moi's time. If you go to an interview, and I believe that you can see it online, that there's this interview that Ruto did, President Ruto did, immediately after the impeachment of Honorable Gachagua. And he had said, I think it was on 1st of April, 2025, last year. And he said that I made a decision, and he makes that decision, that it was him who then decided who his running mate was going to be, and A, B, C, and C. He is still stuck in that political spectrum of the Moi period. Okay. Now, will he come out of that box? Okay. Is he going to get out of that? Is this what the Kenyan people want? And I believe, so he goes to make these private promises to all these different politicians, which is why you're hearing. And there's a suppression now from Kindiki. And he says that I'm not going to be running. Probably he has not been offered.
I'm keen to hear about what happens next now to Rigathi Gachagua. He had declared his interest in the presidency based on the fact that this court process was still on. A day before the court process and the pronouncement, we saw Kalonzo Musyoka just come out and launch his political campaign platform for the same. Whether coincidentally or by design, we do not know. But now what happens next to the unity of the so-called United Alternative Government? Is it now a better, one down, one of the candidates down? Is it easier now for them to go ahead?
Thank you, Fred. But before I address that...
we have like about 5 minutes.
Fine. So I just want to remind my colleague again that regardless of how pressing or how strong you think your point is, it's good that you allow the next panelist to speak, and then you get your time. I also noted some problems with his, submission. He, for example, said that Kibaki left the vice presidency and went and formed DP, which is true. He formed DP, but that was 13 years after he had been removed by Moi from the vice president's position. And I wanted to correct him, but I had to wait for my time. So I want to beseech him that next time, even when he notes that there is a problem with the presentation of a co-panelist, that he waits until he gets his time. I also wanted to correct him that only, he said, two deputies or vice presidents have become president. I wanted to correct him and tell him it is not two, there are three: Moi, Kibaki, and Ruto. Number two, of course, Ruto was deputy president and the others were vice president. But now coming to a question of what next for Rigathi Gachagua, I think it's very clear. My party leader has said it so many times that until you exhaust all the legal remedies, and I think so, we still have the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court. So I don't know where people are getting this argument, like you have said, Fred, that now Rigathi Gachagua is down, we are left with the others. We still have some recourse in law.
So he still maintains his ambition to be...
he still maintains his ambition to be president, okay, as long as the matter will be live, because we are going to the Court of Appeal, after which, if you do not get a favorable judgment, we are going to proceed to the Supreme Court. So the position that he had stands. He was eligible then, before yesterday. He is eligible today because he has not exhausted all the legal remedies and avenues to quash this particular, illegal and unconstitutional impeachment that was done about 2 years ago. And so the question that the argument that Rigathi Gachagua is now out is neither here nor there. We are still where we were. We only were not able to obtain a favorable judgment from the High Court. We have two other levels, two more avenues. I think that argument would come if the Court of Appeal then upholds the same illegal impeachment, and finally the Supreme Court. Now we can say that Rigathi Gachagua is out. But for now, Fred, Rigathi Gachagua remains a presidential candidate. The next thing that I should say is that my party leader again has said so many times that they are going to sit down as members of the United Alternative Government or United Opposition and come up with one presidential candidate, because we are not naive. William Ruto's rating currently stands at 19%. And we know...
Is it 19 or 13?
19, the highest has been 19. Mm-hmm. And we know it is, everybody in Kenya knows that you need 50% plus 50% of the total vote plus one vote to win the presidency. So President Ruto has no way of making it back to the presidency. The only route that he is now pursuing...
So he's one term?
He's one term, yes. Okay. The only route he's pursuing, allow me to finish this one. Okay. The only route he's pursuing is to divide the opposition. So I was answering your question and saying that we refuse to be divided. And Rigathi Gachagua has said that the formula that comes up with this particular joint presidential candidate, if it doesn't favor him, he has said it very many times, that he's going to support whoever it will be that the formula will come up with. But my point of what William Ruto wants to do, and you are aware, at 19% at the most, he thinks he wants to divide the opposition so that so that now nobody, if you have so many presidential candidates, nobody will be able to garner 50% plus one. So he's hoping that he'll be number two and then he initiates a rerun, where now he's going to use his money to do what he does, his mischief and everything. That's what he hopes. But I want to tell you, Fred, that even if we got divided, William Ruto will not make it to a rerun because he cannot be number two. So, Senator Mugatana, you better start thinking about somebody else, your future, if you still want to be on the side the president is going to be. It will not be William Ruto. That one I can tell,
Senator. This is your final comment.
Can I say something? And I want to say this with a lot of humility. I've been in this space for many years, more than any of these gentlemen here. I've won elections, I've lost elections, and I'm here again. I'm taking coffee here, which doesn't have sugar. But someone else can argue, oh, he has put 3 spoons, 10 spoons, whatever. But I know I'm taking sugarless coffee. You need to know the numbers. If you get somebody who does 5,000 people or 3,000 and they tell you you have 100% vote, you need to know that. And I know they know, because the people like Gachagua, people like Alonso, they have been in the system and they know that NIS has more accurate figures as opposed to people who are just taking 3,000 people. I want to say with a lot of humility that in this country, since the so-called opposition started moving around, we have won every by-election, And they have been talking about Olkalau, we are going to win it. Because if you look at the numbers and the way the candidate is moving, we will win it. And they will come with explanations after that. And I want to tell our colleagues that in every county, we are capable of raising candidates. We are there as UDA or as ODM. We have prepared. As we are talking now, assuming the worst thing happens today and you say, let us have a presidential campaign now, I'll tell you for sure, we have presence across the entire country. We have organized ourselves as a political party. We have a program, we have a manifesto, and I can speak with authority when I say that there is election management and election politics. Politicking and talking here on TV and whatever, that will never win you votes in Tana River. Never, never, never. But planning your things, knowing how many polling centers you have, where you're going to get your votes, that is what will determine whether you'll be re-elected as senator. Okay. The president of this republic, he has not been answering these people. But every by-election, we have a win. And I guarantee you, when we come to 2027, with the preparation we are going, and I'm private to those preparations because I'm part of it in Tana River County and part of the coast, the preparations we are making is not what these people are doing. These people are just, talking. William Ruto has been in politics many years. Do not underestimate that. Let's just say, do not fail to respect age. All right. So I'm saying, for me, I think we are going to win the elections because we are very well prepared. We have an agenda. We are selling to the people. And we will allow our political rivals to say what they want. But winning this election is a story.
Okay, fine. Wakili, your final comment.
It's very unfortunate. The Kenyan individual who has no faith in the government, who has nothing he can see in terms of a future perspective in this president, is left with the hope that my vote will speak for me. But you can hear the undercurrents of what the senator is saying. We are making arrangements. What happened in... I let you speak. Oh, come on. I mean, you have to get...
we have just about a minute.
Yes. So that what happened in Berry North, what happened in Emuru Dikir, and what is likely to happen in Laikipia, Olkalau, is as we speak right now, is the electronic vote rigging. And don't be surprised. If it does happen,
I want to object.
I let you speak.
No.
It's my final comment. It's not a debate. I mean, you see,
I want to object. You can't say there's vote rigging.
You can't. So you see, I'm speaking about the voting that is going to be there. It's electronic. So the moment that they announce and declare the results, you do not have the means then to ascertain who cast that vote. It is electronic, and therefore you are assumed then to just accept that. And this is the danger. And like some Supreme Court judge said, that there is a danger that on that day of filing a Supreme Court case that you want to challenge the electoral vote of the presidency, the electronic filing system fails, your documents are not admitted within the time, that looming danger will cost the Kenyan people. And I am afraid, like he says, they are confident, probably because they have hired some software company.
No, we are preparing the vote.
Because
we are on the ground.
No, I'm saying that.
We are on the ground.
Why are you stung by that?
No, because
the ground does not speak of that. It is in the NIS has that information.
A minute
so my last comment is this.
Don't make allegations.
That what happened yesterday, you can see the judiciary is now become the instrumentality of the executive, such that they will go a certain way. When you see the wind blowing that they're about to deliver justice, like they said, your fair justice, so your right to a fair trial was contravened. And then we will award you some damages. But we cannot then, overturn the impeachment. You can see that danger still looms large in 2027.
Thank you, Wakili. Just a minute only.
So, thank you. Fred, I just want to tell my colleague, Senator Batana, he has said that he has been here longer than both of us. It's true. He was first elected, I think, in 2007 or 2002. 2002.
Correct.
And was re-elected in 2022, 20 years later. But I want to tell him.
We served 2 terms.
That's fine. Yeah, I want to tell him that you don't have to be elected to know what is happening in the political landscape. If somebody dismisses you, Fred, with all these analyses that you make here with different people, dismisses you as somebody who may not know what happens in the political landscape, that person will not be realistic. You don't have to practice politics in order for you to know what is happening to it. The other thing that I want to caution him about is when you find yourself, doubting numbers, because he has implied, he didn't say it directly, but he has implied that, opinion polls are nothing to go by. When you see people fighting with numbers, then you know they have lost it. When you see people, when you see a politician, and you don't have to be elected or to have ever been elected, but when you find any politician that the only, crowd they can address is a crowd in a tent, a mobilized, crowd, then you should know that that particular person is in political trouble. If you want to know somebody who is in tandem or moving with the people, it is somebody who makes an impromptu, visit somewhere he has not planned to be. And I want to challenge him because they keep saying, those that support the President Ruto keep saying that the mountain, he has not lost the mountain. Senator Mungatana, when you meet President Ruto next time, tell him to come from to hold an impromptu rally in Keno town, without saying he's coming. Then we see how many people will turn up.
How does the president go? You are talking like, I don't know. How does the president go to a place?
Where are the debate manners of
come on.
He can be able
because he's not.
He has taken the leave of absence.
I was just concluding, when you find somebody, they can only address crowds that have been mobilized, paid, brought together. That person has no political.
It's only his microphone that's on right now.
Yes. That person has no political relevance. If you want Fred, and I don't know whether you'll be in politics tomorrow, if you want to know whether you are with your people, just get into a place where people are without you calling them, and what you call a natural crowd, and see if they receive you, you should know you are okay. But if they are called towards you, you should know you have problems.
Thank you.
So please, elections are next year. Let's wait, and you will see where this chest thumping, where this money is going to take people.
Asante sana.
Know about money.
Senator Muranga, Dr. Danson Mungatana, Senator Tana River, and Wakili Harrison Kinyanjui. Asanteni sana. As we look at the pronouncements of the High Court yesterday on the impeachment case of former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for the very robust debate. I'm sure this will definitely continue. And this is what is on all the front pages today. After the break, we switch gears and talk about matters from classroom to career. Are graduates job ready? And later on, we'll be talking matters AI with Philip Mulala Mukiti. My name is Fred Indemuli. See you a bit later. Good morning.
Call me.